One of the things that is going to come up at the trial when we do jury selection is we have something called a Batson challenge. Do you know what a Batson challenge is? Essentially what that means is that if the defendant is a person of a minority race and there is a juror who is the same race as the defendant, the Batson rule is that in order to excuse that juror on a peremptory challenge, the state of Ohio has a higher burden to establish that their reason for excusing that person is race neutral. Do you sort of understand that?
Yes.
So in order to do that, I have to ask you what your race is. And I don't like that because I don't want you to think that I am making any decisions about what your race is, but I need to have on the record what your race is. Because as you will see from the jury instructions, if you're looking over Mr. Engel's shoulder, the race of the jurors is already listed on the questionnaire. What race are you, Mr. King?
Jamaican, black.
Okay. All right. Anything else preliminary before we get going?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. King, I received your letter that indicated that you wanted to represent yourself at the trial here today.
Yes, sir.
I don't really want to dive too deep into the discussions between you and Mr. Engel, but I understand generally there's a disagreement between the two of you as to how the case should proceed at trial, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, essentially there's some things you want to do and he doesn't want to do them because he doesn't think they're relevant. That sort of thing is generally what I understand to be the issue, right?
Basically.
All right.
In some matter, but and the other fact is he never discussed the case with me in details of what really happened. So therefore, and then when I told him I had a heart attack, well, it was just that you had a broken arm. No, I had a heart attack, and they broke my arm.
So, again, Mr. King, I got a letter from you that said that you wanted to let me know that you would be representing yourself today.
Yeah, so I wanted to represent myself on this.
Okay. Doesn't really work quite like that, Mr. King. You do have the right to let's get a ground rule down, Mr. King. When you talk, I will let you finish.
Okay.
And when I talk, you will let me finish. Okay? So it doesn't really work that way. You do have the right to represent yourself. However, that right, like every other right, is not absolute. I have to make sure, especially given that the request was made a couple of weeks before trial, that this is a decision that you're making in a knowing, voluntary, and intelligent manner. And so we're going to have a discussion about what it means to represent yourself, okay?
Yes, sir.
So first of all, some basics. How old are you?
I'm 63.
How far did you go in school?
I got college education.
Are you
Plus I got certificates in law.
All right. Are you able to read and write English?
Yes, sir.
Are you under the influence of drugs or alcohol?
No, sir.
Are you taking any medications?
Yes, sir. I do take medication for my heart and high blood.
Are you taking anything that would interfere with your ability to understand what we're doing here today or to represent yourself?
No, sir.
Do you have any physical issues that would interfere with your ability to represent yourself?
No, sir.
Do you have any special needs, listening devices, interpreter, any kind of technology that you need to effectively represent yourself?
No, sir.
Do you have any mental health issues that would interfere with your ability to represent yourself?
No, sir.
You are charged in the indictment with 1 count of felonious assault and 1 count of assault. The basic elements of both of these offenses are that you caused physical harm to investigator J.T. Hall back, I believe it was in July of 24. I don't have the indictment in front of me, but it was sometime in 24.
July 11, 2024.
All right, and that you were an inmate in an institution and that Mr. Hall was an employee of the Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. Those are the essential elements. If the state proves that you caused serious physical harm, that makes it a felonious assault, meaning that it's a second-degree felony, punishable by up to 8 to 12 years in prison. If they don't prove that particular element but prove that you assaulted Investigator Hall, that would be an assault, but it's because he's a Department of Corrections employee. It would be a third-degree felony, punishable by up to 36 months in prison. If the state can't prove that you did this beyond a reasonable doubt, or they can't prove that you didn't act in self-defense, then you are not guilty. Do you think you understand the nature of the charges against you?
Yes, sir.
There is a defense available to you, which is self-defense. Your attorney has filed appropriately for the presentation of the self-defense. Do you think you understand what it is to have this defense available to you?
Yes, sir.
The maximum penalty, as I said, for the second-degree felony is 8 to 12 years in prison and 36 months in prison if you are found guilty of the assault. These are alternatively charged. That means that if you are convicted of both of them, and I'm not saying that you are going to be, but if you are, you can only be sentenced on one of these because they would merge. Since you're going to be already in prison for the next 20 years or so on the unrelated charge, I'm not going to talk to you about financial penalties because clearly you're indigent, so I'm not going to talk about fines or costs or anything like that. There is a presumption of prison in the case if you are convicted. There's no mandatory prison. I don't know that there is any set of circumstances, Mr. King, that if you are convicted of this, I would put you into my community control program, so I don't even think it makes sense to talk about probation. You're also subject to what we call a Reagan-Tokes sentence. Do you know what that is?
No.
All right. Nobody really understands Reagan-Tokes, Mr. King, so I can say that your answer, if honestly shared by most attorneys and most judges, probably about the same. I think I probably got a pretty good handle on it.
Yeah.
We also have some issues of post-release control, those sorts of things. You understand that you have the right to be represented by a lawyer. You understand
Yes.
that, right? Have you been represented by a lawyer before,
Yes.
other than this case?
Yes, sir.
How did that go?
Well, they put the police family on my jury, so I was very skeptical about lawyers anymore because
Okay.
my lawyer didn't do his job.
So did you have a trial in your first case?
Yes, sir.
Or I say your first case, your last case, is that a better way to put it?
Yes, sir.
So did that trial proceed to a trial to a jury?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you think a lawyer is for?
Well, the lawyer is for somebody that represents you that for defense purposes and to basically investigate and to talk to you about the case and so forth.
Do you think there are advantages to having a lawyer?
There are some advantages.
What do you think those advantages are?
Well, because he's more familiar with the ins and outs with the court system and stuff like that, and with the case laws. But when you have a lawyer that don't talk to you about what really happens, then that becomes the issue.
Okay. Do you know what the term ineffective assistance of counsel means?
Yes, I do.
That means, in my world, that means if you're not effectively represented at the trial, you may have the right to appeal based upon ineffective assistance of counsel. If you represent yourself, you don't get to argue to the Court of Appeals that I didn't effectively represent myself. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You don't have the funds to hire a lawyer, so we appointed one for you. Do you understand, at least from my perspective, if you represent yourself, you're probably going to be hurting your case. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. At a trial, there are certain decisions that the lawyer makes, and there are certain decisions that the client makes. So a lawyer, for example, decides what strategy to use at trial, what to say in opening statement, what witnesses to present, what jurors to strike. Those are the sorts of decisions that the lawyer makes. On the other hand, there are decisions that the client makes. The client makes decisions about, for example, whether or not you're going to testify. So if Mr. Engel were to represent you in the case and he said, you're not testifying in the case, and you said, yes, I am, that is a decision that you would make as the client, even though you're represented by a lawyer. But when it comes to calling witnesses, for example, and I know that we have several witnesses coming tomorrow that you requested. I think there's like 3 or 4 that we have transport orders for that we did at your request. Mr. Engel may decide, ethically he has no good faith basis to call one of these witnesses that would be his decision not to call the witness, and you don't have the ability to override that decision if you're represented by a lawyer. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
If you represent yourself, you decide what witnesses are going to testify. You decide what your strategy at the trial is going to be. I might disagree with it, but it's your decision. However, there might be some issues that you try to raise or believe that are relevant that aren't. If so, Ms. Tranter may make an objection. I may rule on that objection and sort of guide you back to what is more relevant to the case. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what a standby counsel is?
Yes, sir.
What's your understanding of what a standby
A
counsel is?
standby counsel is somebody that assists you, but during trial, he can't help you during the trial.
It's a pretty good description of a standby counsel, Mr. King, because if you decide to represent yourself and if I decide to let you represent yourself, Mr. Engel is not going to sit there. He's going to sit in the row behind you. And the idea of a standby counsel is that he's available for routine sorts of things, procedure, evidence. If you have questions about courtroom protocol or about the local rules, you can ask him any question that you want, but he's not going to volunteer any information. He's not going to make any unsolicited suggestions. It's not the job of standby counsel to give you tips, trial strategy, any of that sort of thing. I want to make sure that the jury is not confused about his role. That's why I put him on the other side of the bar, because I think if I put him there next to you, the jury is going to incorrectly assume that he is representing you. Also, though, the standby counsel's job is, if at any point in the trial you change your mind about representing yourself, or you behave in such a way that I can't continue to let you represent yourself, Mr. Engel is going to step in and begin to represent you. He's not going to like that very much, because the first thing that he's going to do is ask me to continue the case so that he can get ready. I'm going to tell him no to that, because as far as I'm concerned, Mr. King, this is your decision. If it turns out to get a little bit messy, you're the one that's responsible for that mess. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
So the way I would look at this is, if I were you, I would look at Mr. Engel like a book. If you want to open that book and read it, it's available to you. If you want to just leave that book alone and not even use it, that's your right also. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Engel is experienced in being a standby counsel. I know he's been standby for me at least once, right, Mr. Engel?
I believe so, Your Honor, yes.
Okay. So he kind of knows how this is going. Do you understand the purpose and role of a standby counsel?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any problem with that?
No, sir.
All right. Who decides if you're guilty or innocent?
The judge or the jury.
Okay. No. I don't decide whether or not you're guilty or not.
If it's a trial by judge, it's up to the judge. If it's a
Okay.
trial by jury, it's up to the jury.
Okay, that's a good clarification. I assume, though, Mr. King, you want to try this case to a jury, right?
After what I done been through with the juries, I prefer just to have you as my juror and judge.
Okay. Let's talk about that after we get to the end of that, whether or not did I print out a counsel waiver? I don't think I did. I need a written counsel waiver. Maybe I can print that out. I just remembered about that. All right. So at the trial, you have the right to confront the witnesses that are called against you. Do you understand what that means?
Yes, sir.
What's your understanding of what that means?
That means you got the right to question the witnesses about the effect of what happened on that incident day.
Okay, that's partially true, and that's the most important part of it. But also, one of the things about confrontation, Mr. King, that some people tend to forget is you have the right to see and hear all of the evidence in the case, same as the judge or same as the jury. So no evidence is going to be taken in this case that you are not present for. If Ms. Tranter calls a witness, none of those witnesses are going to be permitted to step down from the witness stand until you have the right to cross-examine them if you're representing yourself, or if Mr. Engel's representing you until he has the right to cross-examine the witness. You also have the right to look at all of the physical evidence, which I understand that you've seen all the videos and that you've seen all the evidence, right?
Well, I seen all but one video. That was the last video. He was telling me that it was blurry.
Okay.
So,
If there is any evidence that comes up in the case that you have not seen, Mr. King, I want you to bring that to my attention. Can you do that?
yes, sir.
All right. We also have the right to compulsory process. That means that you have the right to have witnesses come and testify on your behalf. And if they won't do so voluntarily, we can issue orders and subpoenas to make sure that they come. Do you understand the right of compulsory process?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if these witnesses, I think at least one of these witnesses maybe did not want to come. I don't know that we're at that point yet. I might be thinking of a different trial. But if there are witnesses, or this also extends to evidence, documents, those sorts of things, if you want to present those, we'll get those for you by the way of subpoena. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to remain silent at the trial. It's kind of a bit of a sticky wicket when you're representing yourself, because you have the right to remain silent, but you're going to be talking the whole time. So if you try this case to a jury, I will advise the jury that you have two jobs in the case. You have the job as your own lawyer, and you have your job as the defendant. Unless you take the witness stand, raise your right hand, swear that you're going to tell the truth, all of those things, none of what you say at the podium or from counsel table, none of that is evidence. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The state of Ohio is not allowed to call Todd King as a witness in the case. Whether or not you testify is up to you, and if you exercise your right to remain silent, I'm going to tell the jury that they are not to hold that against you in any way. If I hear the case myself, I'm not going to hold the fact that you remain silent against you in any way. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Probably the primary reason that sometimes people do not want to exercise their right to testify in a case, and they want to exercise their right to remain silent, is because if you take the stand in the case, I would imagine that Ms. Tranter is going to cross-examine you about your prior criminal history, and it may be that it makes sense not to have that come in. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. But may I ask,
Sure.
ask you a question? Now, coming to my prior history, everything I have is back from '79 except for 2019. So everything else is, can't be brought up anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what your criminal history is, Mr. King, but I can say this. If you're going to testify in the case, the jury is probably going to hear that you are in prison for the charge of felonious assault. If you don't testify in the case, the jury is going to know that you're in prison. They're probably not going to know why unless you tell them. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you understand what proof beyond a reasonable doubt is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're presumed to be innocent in the case. Do you understand what that means?
Yes, sir.
Essentially what that means is, Mr. King, the state of Ohio has to prove that you are guilty. They have to do this beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the highest burden that we have in the law. If they don't prove every essential element of the case, then I'm going to instruct the jury to find you not guilty. And if I hear the case, if they don't prove everything beyond a reasonable doubt, I am going to find you not guilty. I'm going to give the jury an instruction that basically says, and I'm not reading it verbatim, but it's going to say that you have to, it's proof of such character that an ordinary person would be willing to rely and act upon it in the most important of that person's affairs. That's generally what the proof beyond a reasonable doubt instruction sounds like. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So we have some rules at the trial, and one of the rules that we have is the rules of evidence. That's generally where most people who represent themselves run into trouble, because there's only one rule book, and I don't change the rules because you're representing yourself, even though I am going to make as many accommodations for you as I can. It's not fair, though, for me not to hold you to the same rules. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar at all with the rules of evidence?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you think that you would be able to handle that part of it in presenting your case?
I believe so.
Okay, because the state of Ohio, they're going to be represented by an experienced attorney in the case. and I'm going to hold you to the same standard that I hold Ms. Tranter. You're going to have to follow the rules of evidence and procedure. What's really frustrating, Mr. King, and I've had this happen, when somebody's representing themselves, they have a document that they want to get into evidence. Everybody in the courtroom knows how to get that document into evidence. I know, Ms. Tranter knows, Mr. Engels, everybody knows except you. And it's very frustrating to watch somebody try to figure it out. Now, you're going to have Mr. Engel available to you as standby counsel, so you can lean over and ask him, hey, how do I get this into evidence? He might try to help you to the best of his ability. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
We've talked a little bit about this a couple of minutes ago. You have the right to have the jury decide the case if you want. That means that we'll impanel a jury of 12 people, and all 12 of them would have to be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that you're guilty of this in order to find you guilty. They also have to have a unanimous verdict that you are not guilty, and if they can't agree, that's a hung jury. If you waive your right to a jury, I'll decide whether or not the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that you're guilty of this. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Just to give you a brief overview of the trial, you've been through a trial before, so you kind of know how this works, but I'll tell you the way that I do it. The first order of business is what we call jury selection. That means that the jury that's checking in here in a couple of minutes, they're all going to be brought into the courtroom. Some of them are going to be put in the box. 12 of them are going to be put in the jury box. The rest of them are going to be seated behind you. Then we're going to have a process called voir dire. We're going to talk to the jury about what the trial is about. I'm going to explain to them a little bit about what you're charged with. I'm going to ask some questions about whether or not they can be fair and impartial in the case. You're going to get an opportunity to question the jury also. So the way this works is I will ask them the initial questions that I have for them. We have things called jury questionnaires, and you're going to get those jury questionnaires that you can look at during the trial so that you can talk to juror number 8, for example. Let's say it's Ms. Johnson. You can look at her and you can see that Ms. Johnson has, she's employed maybe by the prison, for example. You could talk to her about that, how that may affect her, whether or not she knows any of the people involved. The idea is to get a jury that is fair and impartial to both sides. I do limit everybody to 20 minutes for their part of voir dire. Everybody complains about that. I don't expect you to be any different than that, Mr. King. But that's the way we do it. Then we exercise what we call challenges for cause. That means if you think that any of those jurors can't be fair to you, then you'll exercise a challenge for cause. We may have a chat about whether or not they can be fair. I may excuse them. I might not. Then we have what's called a peremptory challenge. That means that both you and the state of Ohio have 4 challenges, which you can get rid of somebody for any reason or no reason whatsoever. We just excuse that person, put the next person in, and we go on with the voir dire process. Do you think you understand jury selection?
Yes, sir.
After that, I give the jury some initial instructions, and then we do opening statements. Opening statements are a preview where you can tell the jury what they expect to see in the case. Then we have witnesses, first by Ms. Tranter and then by you. Then, after the evidence close, we have closing arguments. Then we have jury instructions. If you represent yourself in the case, I anticipate that I'm going to have a draft of those instructions to you probably by mid-afternoon. There's already been a dispute that has broken out over the jury instructions based upon a case that I had with these folks not too long ago. So we're going to have a discussion about what the self-defense instruction should look like for somebody who is in a prison. Because when you're in prison, the corrections officers, they have a legal right to exercise some amount of force on you that they may not be able to exercise on me or Mr. Engel, for example. So if they tell you, hey, you need to move out of the way, and you don't move out of the way, they're allowed to push you a little bit to the side, what we call minimal or nominal amount of force. They're allowed to manipulate your hands, your feet, to put you in cuffs, those sorts of things. All of those things are allowed. But then we also have something called excessive force, which means that you are subjected to force that goes beyond that. I'm not going to get too deep into that because if we have a discussion about that, it's going to be a pretty sophisticated discussion that's going to take place later. but it does have something to do with your legal defense. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You're going to be shackled throughout the trial. So, you're serving a prison sentence for a crime of felonious assault. You're accused of felonious assault. This level of violence overcomes your constitutional right to be free from shackles during the trial. I do understand, though, that we have some civilian clothing for him. Is that right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
So you can be dressed out in civilian clothing, but you're going to be shackled. And as we talked about at the conference, if you sort of scooch up under that table, jury's probably not even going to notice that you are shackled. They might. I'm going to tell them not to worry about that it's just the same sort of thing that we do in every case. But if you're up moving around representing yourself, jury's going to notice a little bit more that you are going to be doing your lawyer type stuff, that you're shackled. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about that?
No, sir.
All right. The right to represent yourself is not the license to abuse the dignity of the court, to disrupt the proceedings, generally to be sort of a pest of yourself. If you become disrespectful or disruptive, then you will forfeit your right to represent yourself, and Mr. Engel will step in to begin to represent you. One of the things that is a little controversial amongst my judge colleagues, Mr. King, is what level of disruption or disrespect we have. When you're representing yourself, you may not talk the same way that I talk or the way Mr. Engel talks or even the jury talks. You may use offensive language, cursing, slang. I don't consider any of that to be disrespectful. So during the trial, I don't want you to search for the right word that's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. You talk the way you want to talk, and I don't find that to be particularly disrespectful. But if you're going to start yelling, if you're going to start screaming, pointing your finger, doing all of that kind of nonsense, that's disrespectful and disruptive. I'm not going to allow you to do that. My general rule of thumb, Mr. King, is if you're representing yourself, you can say whatever you want from your seat. If you stand up or you start gesturing, then we're going to intervene. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You are going to be a little bit restricted if you're moving around. You're going to use this path behind Mr. Engel. You're going to go up to the podium, and you're going to use that path back. That's essentially the how you're going to make it to and from the podium. I'm not going to let you wander around the courtroom. I don't let anybody wander around the courtroom, though, Mr. King. So that's sort of the way that goes. If you're found not guilty, then you're going to go back to the institution. Nothing happens. If you are found guilty, then we are going to go forward with a sentence. Sometimes we do what we call a pre-sentence investigation. I generally don't do those in prison cases, but if you're convicted, we will talk about whether or not we should jump right into the sentence or we should do a pre-sentence report. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The factors that I consider in sentencing, they are the seriousness of the offense, the impact on the victim, your criminal history, and essentially I will allow you, and this is all if you're convicted, I'm not saying that you're going to be, but we don't really talk about the penalties if you're found not guilty because nothing happens. Then I'm going to essentially listen to anything that you want to tell me about why this offense is not as serious for the purposes of sentencing. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
I think, have we only had one other trial? You said you went to trial. Is that the only time that you've ever been to trial before?
Since 2019?
Have you ever been to trial before in a case?
Yes.
Okay. The case that you're in prison for, that was in front of a judge in Montgomery County, right?
Yes, sir.
Were there any other trials before that?
Yeah, a long time ago, back in the 70s.
Oh, okay, back in the 70s. Well, whatever happened in the 70s, we try not to put too much weight on. All right. So, Mr. King, do you think you understand your right to represent yourself?
Yes, sir.
Has anybody made any threats, promises, or representations to get you to waive your right to be represented by an attorney?
No, sir.
Do you think there is anything about our discussion today that has impacted your desire to represent yourself?
Not really. I just wanted to talk to Mr. Engel real quick to see his opinion about something.
Okay.
and then we go from there.
All right. So I will let you and Mr. Engel talk. When we come back, we're going to talk about number one, do you want to represent yourself? And number two, do you want a jury to decide the case?
Well, since the last jury trial I had back in 2019, I would prefer to pass on the jury and just take the judge.
All right. I think, Mr. Engel, it makes more sense to do those in reverse order. So why don't you talk to Mr. King first about his right to a jury? Because if you waive your right to a jury, Mr. King, then I really worry a lot less about things like standby counsel and the rules. Because if you want to represent yourself in front of me, Mr. Engel's going to be right next to you, because I don't have to worry about me being confused about standby counsel. I will understand the role of standby counsel. I'm not going to get confused about him representing you. And I also, if there's no jury, you and he can discuss matters at counsel table. So if something comes up and you say, Judge, give me a second, I want to talk to Mr. Engel about that, he just leans over and you guys have a discussion. The reason that I don't let you do that where there's a jury here is because then the jury is naturally going to assume that he's representing you. Because on TV, they see a guy in a tie representing a guy who is not in a tie. They're going to think that he's representing you, even if I tell them not. So let's cross the jury waiver off the list first, and then we will decide whether or not, I mean, they're sort of entwined with one another, but why don't you guys talk, and then you let me know what it is that you want to do. We will take, how's 10 minutes? Is that enough time? Let's take 10 minutes to figure this out, and I understand that the jury is in the process of checking in now.
Can we talk in here, Your Honor?
I mean, I'll clear the courtroom except for security, and as long as that red, Mr. King, we broadcast our proceedings to YouTube. That means that there might be people watching us. There might not be. I don't know. If that red light is on in front of you, that means there is sound on the YouTube. If that light is off, that means that the YouTubers can still see you, but they can't hear you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else? Let's go ahead, after we go off the record, just fix the camera on the bench. That way they can't see if anybody's watching. I don't know if they are. Okay? All right. 10 minutes. We'll clear the courtroom except for the security people so that you can talk.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We're in recess. Mr. Engel, you were inquiring about shackles.
About the handcuffs particularly. I know he's got the leg shackles too.
Okay. My intent was for him to remain shackled during the trial. Do you want to be heard on that issue?
I'll defer to the court on security issues.
Mr. King?
I'm not doing nothing crazy. I'm not here for making, well, I'm here for making mistakes, but.
Why do you need your hands unshackled, Mr. King?
So I can write and stuff. And plus, it'd be better for the jury to see me without my hands shackled,
Are you right-handed or left-handed?
right?
All right, let's go with we'll release one hand, so we'll have his right hand free so that he can write. Is that doable, officers?
Make it work.
Defendant Todd Anthony King stands before you indicted by a Warren County grand jury on 2 separate counts. Count 1 being felonious assault in that on or about the 11th day of July, 2024 in Warren County in the state of Ohio. The defendant did knowingly cause serious physical harm to another, that other person being Jason T. Hall. Count 2 of the indictment states as follows. On July the 11th, 2024, Warren County, state of Ohio, Todd Anthony King did knowingly cause or attempt to cause physical harm to another. That person, again, being Jason T. Hall. Furthermore, count 2 states that the offense was committed on or in or on the grounds of a state correctional institution. The victim of the offense was an employee of the Department of Rehabilitations and Corrections, and the offense was committed by a person incarcerated in that state correctional institution. Now, how do we get to that indictment? We get there because on July the 11th of 2024, the defendant, an inmate at the Warren Correctional Institution, was in the recreational yard picking up trash. He caught the attention of Investigator Hall. Investigator Hall and the defendant knew each other. Investigator Hall approached the defendant and saw that he was wearing earrings in his ear. You're going to hear that as part of the policy of the Department of Rehabilitations and Corrections, that male inmates are not permitted to wear earrings. Investigator Hall approached him, asked him to remove his earrings. Defendant refused. They had a conversation. Defendant continued to refuse. Corrections Officer Matthew Cheek saw the interaction between Investigator Hall and the defendant and came from his post to assist in any way he could. Defendant was directed to cuff up, which you're going to hear means put your hands behind your back so we can place handcuffs on you, for not complying with the order to remove his earrings and refusing to comply. He was directed by Investigator Hall. He was directed by Corrections Officer Cheek. You're going to see the interaction from three views. The body camera of Corrections Officer Cheek, the body camera worn by Corrections Officer Ellsroth, and then also from this prison surveillance camera, which covers the area of the yard that this incident happened in. Now, you're going to see this, and you're going to see certain things on the video. And you're going to ultimately, at the end of the case, have the video to go back in the jury room with you. You can watch it as many times as you want. But as you're watching it, you're going to notice a few things. As you're watching it, you're going to notice that when Officer Cheek comes up to this interaction, he stands next to Investigator Hall, who's got his handcuffs out, ready to put the defendant in handcuffs behind his back as soon as he complies with the order to cuff up. When Officer Cheek approaches, he again, just like Officer Hall, Investigator Hall, told the defendant, cuff up, cuff up. You're going to see that Officer Cheek does have his state-issued, prison-issued pepper spray, OC spray, in hand. Okay? He's got it extended. No dispute about that. The conversation continues between Cheek and Hall and the defendant. Ultimately, the defendant indicates that he's going to comply. Are you going to comply? Yeah, I'm going to comply. Under the assumption that he's going to comply, he drops a trash bag that is in his hand from where he was picking up trash. Officer Cheek moves around to the front of the defendant, and Investigator Hall goes behind him, handcuffs still in hand, to be prepared to cuff his hands behind his back. Everything's fine at that point. Defendant hasn't indicated he's going to comply. There's no indication of aggression or any reason why the defendant would not comply with the orders he's been given to cuff up. So they're kind of caught off guard. At that point, you're going to see on the videos, defendant takes a step and sucker punches Investigator Hall with his left hook right in his left eye. Completely caught off guard. Hits him so hard he falls back, doesn't fall down to the ground, but it sends him back shuffling 3 to 4 feet. Officer Cheek, at that point, then does raise his spray again and deploys his OC spray in the face of the defendant who has just assaulted Officer Hall Investigator Hall in an effort to get him to comply. At that point, other officers are responding. You're going to hear from Officer Ellsroth and see his video as well, that he saw the incident across the yard and came to help. As this progresses, the defendant still resists. He still refuses to comply, to cuff up, refuses to put his arms behind his back, and ultimately, they do have to force his arms behind his back. As a result of this incident, Officer Hall suffered a fractured orbital bone in his face. He had to undergo extensive treatment, and it's going to tell you he still has lasting effects regarding his vision due to the assault from Inmate King. You're going to hear that after this incident, the defendant was diagnosed with a fracture to his arm. That fracture was brought about by his own actions. That fracture happened after the assault, unprovoked and unexpected, on Investigator Hall. That fracture happened because he still, in spite of everything, refused to comply and refused to cuff up. There's anticipation that the defense is going to be asking for a self-defense instruction. And you're going to get, if the court decides that that's an appropriate instruction, that's up to the judge. You will get specific instructions, if it's appropriate, on when self-defense applies and how to apply it. This is not a self-defense case, ladies and gentlemen. At the close of evidence, it will be proven beyond a reasonable doubt that self-defense does not apply, and this is a straight assault causing serious physical harm to Investigator Hall. And we will ask for a finding of guilty as to all charges. Thank you.
Mr. Engel?
Thank you, Your Honor. Counsel, may it please the court. Again, my name is Josh Engel, and it is my honor to represent Mr. King here today. There's a famous quote about jazz that I like to mention in situations like this, which is that someone said, you don't listen to the notes, but you listen to the notes that aren't being played. And when you look at the evidence in this case, I want you to pay attention to what's not been done. Because what you will have here is a case of excessive force by officers, arbitrary and capricious enforcement of rules by officers, and an inmate who is defending himself against that arbitrary treatment. Now, let me give you an example of what you're going to hear. You're going to hear that after the assault, the Highway Patrol, who has responsibility for investigating crimes in state properties, including the prison, does an investigation. I want you to pay attention to what was done during that investigation. I want you to pay attention to whether they first took Mr. King's claims seriously. Here's what I mean by that. He will tell you, for example, that this dispute all starts because of earrings, and that he's been wearing earrings, and that this officer approached him and told him to take out his earrings. Now, maybe there's a rule at the prison that says you can't wear earrings. Maybe there isn't. I don't want you to get bogged down in that, because what you will hear is that if there is such a rule, it is more honored in the breach than the observance, meaning no one cared about that rule. But an officer decides on this day he's going to enforce that rule because he wants to make life difficult for Mr. King. Then you're going to hear that when Mr. King has the audacity to argue or assert his rights, No one's willing to talk to him. No one's willing to get a supervisor and say, hey, how are we going to resolve this? But you'll see they just hold pepper spray right in his face and say, you do as we say, or we are going to spray this right in your face. Excessive? Maybe. You'll get to judge because you will receive, and we will go over in detail that will drive you crazy perhaps, policies from ODRC about use of force. And you will see that one of the things that they're supposed to do is try to de-escalate situations. Do they take Mr. King's complaint seriously that he was subject to arbitrary enforcement and excessive force? Well, how do you know the force was excessive? His arm was broken so badly they had to transport him up to Ohio State Medical Center in order to get treatment. And while he's there, they discovered he's also having heart problems. He needs to have emergency catheterization, have a stent put in because he's having a myocardial infarction as a result of the abuse he had. That'll be evidence of excessive force that you can infer. Did they do what was necessary to try to get or maintain order in the prison, or were they abusing their authority to try to make him uncomfortable, to try to fight with him, to try to get him to comply with their rules, and when he doesn't comply, they tune him up and break his arm? That you'll hear is excessive force. And think about what would have happened. If they're going to break his arm when he resists, you might reasonably believe they're going to break his arm if he does comply with their orders. I also want you to pay attention to some of the other claims that are made. Let me give you one example to pay attention to. I'm not going to give them all away. But there are lots of claims made by the officers involved that Mr. King was intoxicated when this happened, either under the influence of drugs or under the influence of alcohol or anything like that. And one of the things, piece of evidence you'll get are the medical records, and in particular, the medical records from the treating nurse at the scene who dealt with him after he'd been beat up and sprayed in the face with pepper spray. You look in vain in there for any evidence that he was intoxicated. You won't find that. So that's why I say pay attention to what you don't hear and what the state can't necessarily prove. Because your job, when I come back at the end and speak to you, after all the evidence, your job, I'll tell you, is to make sure not about what you believe happened in that situation, but your job is to make sure that the state has given you enough proof of what happened in that situation. And there's a difference there. Because the evidence in this case may be that you think, hey, it's more likely than not that this happened. But that's not your job. Your job is to make sure that the government can't just, as Judge Oda suggested, come in here and tell you, find this person guilty. But your job is to make sure there's evidence beyond that conclusion. So look for that evidence when you hear things. Look for the things that are missing. Look for the things that are unsaid. Look for the things that aren't proven, that they just want you to take their word for. Because Mr. King is going to testify in this trial. It's no secret. He's going to tell you his perspective on what happened. He's going to tell you his view of the actions and what was going through his mind as this incident happened. And when you have to sort out who was right and who was wrong, you look for what the proof is. And did the officers comply with their obligations? Because they're the ones with all the power to de-escalate the situation. So I thank you in advance for all your time. I thank you in advance for your attention. And I look forward to speaking at the end of the trial.
Mr. Trainer, call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Carl Ellsworth.
Tina,
Oh, sorry.
do you want one?
Oh, I'm fine. Oh, I know. I'm okay with those.
Okay.
Straight ahead, and just go a little.
Do you swear affirm that the testimony of these proceedings to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You may be seated.
All right, I need you to make sure you keep your voice up nice and loud for us, okay? And give us your name. I want you to spell your first and last name for our court reporter, please.
Carl, K-A-R-L, Ellsworth, E-L-T-Z-R-O-T-H.
All right, and how are you employed, sir?
I'm a correction officer at Warren Correctional.
All right, and how long have you been employed in that capacity?
14 and a half years.
Lost count? All
Yes.
right, so you've been a corrections officer that entire time?
Yes.
Okay. And in your time as a corrections officer at Warren, have you had occasion to come to court to testify in any cases?
This would be my first time.
This is your first time?
Yes.
Okay. So safe to say that you were employed on July the 11th of 2024?
Yes.
And do you recall what shift you were working that day?
First shift,
Okay. Tell the jury what hours that consists of.
6 a.m. to 2 p.m.
And what were your duties on that day?
I work at recreation. I've been there for a recreation for 3 years. I work rec every day.
Okay, and tell us what that means. What do you do when you work rec?
When the inmates basically get like an hour a day, they come up to rec. It was the summertime. They play softball, basketball, walk around outside. We got probably a couple acres ground. They can kind of do whatever out there.
Okay, so they're outside during this time?
Yes.
Okay, at least in the summertime anyway?
Yeah, if the weather's nice.
Okay. And what are your responsibilities when you work rec?
To just to maintain security there at recreation, make sure nobody's fighting or doing anything they're not supposed to do. If they want equipment, we get the equipment out, give it to them, take an ID. That way they give the equipment back, we give them their ID back, a little accountability.
Okay. And where is Warren Correctional located?
On 63.
State Route 63?
Yeah.
Okay.
By the interstate, pretty close to
Okay.
the interstate, 75.
Okay. Is that in Warren County?
Yes.
Okay. In the state of Ohio?
Yes.
Okay. Silly question, I know, but I gotta ask it.
Okay.
All right. Officer Ellsworth, are you familiar with the defendant in this matter, Todd King?
Yes.
Okay. How are you familiar with Mr. King?
He at that summer he was a yard porter. He would walk around and kind of freely and pick up trash all over the yard.
Okay.
Clean
That's what
up.
that's what a yard porter does?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were familiar with him in that capacity?
Yeah, because he would walk around. I'd see him maybe every day here and there.
Okay.
doing that.
Did you ever have any interactions with him?
Just brief conversations. Hey, how you doing?
Okay. Ever had any issues with him
No,
prior to this day that we're
No.
going to talk about in a minute?
no, not that I can recall.
Okay. All right, so let's draw your attention to July the 11th. And you said you were working that day. At some point, did you become aware of an incident that occurred? Well, let me ask you this. Do you know investigator Jason Hall?
Yes.
Okay, and how do you know Mr. Hall?
He's the investigator at Warren Correctional, and I see him doing rounds, see him at work.
Okay, so at some point during the day on July the 11th of 2024, did you become aware of an incident that was occurring or had occurred between the defendant and investigator Hall?
Yes.
All right, and tell us how you became aware that something was going on.
I heard JT Hall and Officer Cheek yelling.
All right, and where were you when you heard this?
I was at the recreation gate.
Okay, and could you see anything that was going on?
Yeah, I could see everything that was going on.
Okay, and could you, how far away do you think you were when you heard the yelling?
100, 150 feet.
Okay, could you tell what the yelling was about?
No, I heard yelling.
Okay,
I heard them telling Mr. King to cuff up.
okay. Now, once the yelling caught your attention, what did you do?
I started kind of like a brisk walk, walking towards them.
Walking towards them?
Yes.
Okay, and who were you walking towards?
Mr. King, JT Hall, and Officer Cheek.
Okay, were they the only three around at that point?
Yes.
At least involved in what you were observing?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your intent when you were walking over there?
They teach us to use IP skills to downgrade situations to officer presence. You know, the more officers you have, it might calm a situation down. So I was going there for that, and in case something more happened.
Okay, to try to calm the situation down. But at this point, did you know what was going on?
I just knew there was a lot of yelling, and they were saying for Inmate King to cuff up.
Okay. All right. So how long do you think it took you to get over there?
While I was walking over there, that's when things started to happen, and I started running. So
Okay. What did you see?
10 seconds maybe.
All right. What did you see?
I saw Inmate King strike JT Hall, and then he started wrestling with striking CO Cheek.
Who started wrestling with CO Cheek?
Inmate King.
Okay. Mr. King? All right. What else did you observe?
Inmate King throwing strikes at CO Cheek, and CO Cheek defending himself, trying to wrestle
Okay.
Inmate King.
Let me ask you this, officer. Were you equipped with a body-worn camera on July the 11th?
Yes.
Okay. And was it functioning properly?
Yes.
Okay. Was it on?
Yes.
All right. And you've had an opportunity to review that video, correct?
Yes.
And it has been previously marked, I think, as State's Exhibit number 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Two.
Is it 2? Sorry, I don't have my list in front of me. State's Exhibit number 2? You've seen that?
Yes.
Okay, and is it a fair and accurate depiction of what you observed on that day?
Yes.
All right, and I would ask to publish State's Exhibit number 2 to the jury, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Okay, we're gonna take a look at your video here.
Hey, Bravo. Getting ready for wreck.
Just kind of, before we get started here, Officer Ellsworth, if you would just kind of orient us and tell the jury what they're looking at. That screen in front of you is a touch screen, so you can mark arrows or whatnot as you're kind of giving us the landscape of the area.
Where I'm standing is a large, you can see the fence, it's a gate, the same size as the fence, it slides open and shuts where they go.
This fence over here on the left-hand side of the screen?
It'd be behind me.
Okay,
You would go in and outside rec there, that's where I was standing. Where the three people are standing, Inmate King, JT Hall, and CO Cheek right here. That's in front of the chapel, which is you can see the entrance to that over to the left. And they were standing in front of the chapel.
okay. And these three people here, if you could identify who we're looking at for me. This one here in sort of dark pants and like a tan.
That's CO Cheek.
Okay, and then next to him in the tan pants and dark shirt, who is that?
That's JT Hall.
Okay, and then this individual here who looks like kind of in darker clothing all over.
That's Inmate King.
That's Inmate King? Okay. And just for reference, where on your body is your camera?
It's like sitting right here in the middle of my chest.
Yeah, on your chest? Okay.
Yeah. On a lanyard, actually.
Okay. So we're looking at this and it's from your perspective, correct?
Yes.
All right. Okay, at that point, the camera's starting to go a little crazy there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happening at that point?
I'm running.
Okay, that's when you started running?
Yes.
Give me your arm! Come up! Give me your arm! Come up! Come up! Give me your arm! Come up! Come up now! Sorry. I gotta go. Somebody put cuffs on him. I got cuffs right here, sir. Get up and put cuffs on him. Put cuffs on him. I got both legs. Relax. All right. Everybody off. Everybody off.
All right, I'm gonna stop it there, and we're at about 1 minute and 12 seconds into the video for the record. The camera's gone dark at this point.
It
Do you know what happened?
fell off, and I think it was underneath. CO Cheek or Inmate King.
Okay, so it fell off your body
Yeah.
at this point, so is it facing the ground here, or do you know?
It could be someone's on top of it, or it could be upside down.
Okay, but it's not attached to your body anymore? Okay, is that common under
It's
circumstances like this?
just
when you're
held on by magnets, so if it gets bumped hard enough, it'll fall off.
Okay, but it's still recording at this point?
Yes.
Okay, just at least the audio we can still hear, correct?
Yeah, you could see, I believe Sergeant Gillen picked it up and handed it to me at some point.
Okay. Now, I'm going to go back just a little bit because I want to see if we can get to a point where there's someone in here with a red shirt on, right? Right here? Do you know who that person is?
I'm not seeing anything.
I don't think we really see the face, but is that just another officer who was there?
That should be me.
Okay. All right. You were wearing the red shirt?
Yes.
Similar to what you got on now?
Yeah, we wear red at recreation.
Okay. So that would be you that we're seeing there in the red.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and I just want to walk through a couple things too that we heard, at least on this video. What does it mean to cuff up?
Place your hands behind your back and allow the officer to put handcuffs on.
Okay, and that's what inmates are supposed to do when they hear that command?
Yes.
How do they know how to do that?
I assume it to be common knowledge that,
Okay, common
Happens.
terminology used in the
Happens.
prison?
yes, common terminology and happens all the time.
Okay. And what is the purpose of asking an inmate or ordering an inmate to cuff up?
It's common procedure to cuff someone up and take them to the hole if you want to segregation. Take them to segregation if you want to do a search on them, or if they've done something wrong, de-escalate the situation and separate people and have them placed in cuffs so nothing else can happen.
Okay. Is it a safety measure sometimes?
Yes.
Okay. Can it be done just for mere transporting of a prisoner from point A to point B in the prison?
Yes.
Okay, so multiple reasons for somebody to be cuffed up.
Yes.
Is there a protocol to be followed when inmates fail to abide by an order to cuff up?
I mean, it can escalate to the point where force is used in order to maintain order and the rules of the institution.
Okay, so when you were present during this incident, did the defendant abide by orders to cuff up?
No.
Okay. Who was issuing those orders? Do you recall?
JT Hall.
Okay. Was he the only one?
No, Officer Cheek was also.
Okay. How about yourself when you arrived on scene? Did you issue an order for him to cuff up?
Yes.
Okay. How many times, at least when you were present, do you think that he was ordered to cuff up? Estimate.
Probably 8 to 10 times.
Okay. And did he ever abide by those orders to cuff up?
No.
Okay. As an employee of Warren Correctional Institution, what kind of training do you undergo?
There's a lot of different training. I don't know.
Okay.
More specifically, maybe. Or
Do you? Well, let's talk about use of force. What kind of training do you undergo for use of force?
I mean, we go over the basic rules of the policy for using force.
Okay. And how is this done? Is there a class that you're required to take? Is this one-on-one training? How are you trained?
There's a class.
Okay. And is this something that is a recurring class? Do you have to take
Yes, every
multiple
year.
times?
Every year, once every year.
Once every year? Okay. So, and there's a policy in place at Warren for use of force?
Yes.
Okay. And as part of your training, are you familiarized with that policy?
Yes.
Okay. Does that policy change on a regular basis or at all?
It does a little bit
Okay.
sometimes.
Have there been any significant changes to it, would you say, since you've been there for 14 to 15 years?
I kind of say yes.
And if there are significant changes to a policy, are you, do you get training on that in your yearly
Yes.
classes?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and, put one of the defense exhibits actually up here, which is marked as Exhibit C. I'm assuming you're still using the same.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just go ahead and put this up here, okay? This is Defense Exhibit C for the record. You tell us what we're looking at there?
That's the use of force policy?
Okay. And you've seen this document before?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. And I'm gonna flip here to page 5. Good. And I'm gonna draw your attention there to section D, okay? Have you read that policy before?
Yes.
Okay. And is this policy part of what you're trained on as an employee of Warren Correction?
Yes.
Okay. And section D is highlighted the less than deadly force. Can you explain what that is?
Less than deadly. Deadly would mean to cause serious harm or death.
Risk of death?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously less than deadly
Less than that. Yes.
would be a lesser level of force. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And section D, that's highlighting the instances where less than deadly force would be allowed to be used. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And specifically, I want you to look at section 1 and D1 and D2, okay? What are the two instances there that would allow an officer to use less than deadly force?
Self-defense from physical attack or threat or physical harm. And defense of another from physical attack or threat of physical attack.
Okay. And was this policy in place on July 11th of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. Once there has been a use of force, are there certain steps that have to be followed from your perspective as an officer?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us what happens after a use of force.
Inmate should be immediately taken to medical to be examined.
Okay. And that's under all instances?
Yes.
Okay. Give us some examples of what would be considered as a less than deadly use of force.
Use of OC,
Okay.
pepper spray.
And what is OC?
It's pepper spray. It's a liquid agent that burns your
Okay.
skin, eyes.
Is that issued as part of your standard uniform?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any other devices or, let me ask you this, do you have a taser?
No.
Okay. Gun?
No.
Okay. Any sort of baton or
No.
instrument like that?
No.
Okay. Is the pepper spray really your only, we'll call
Tool.
it a weapon?
We call it a tool.
Tool?
Not a
Is
weapon.
pepper spray your
It's
only
not
tool?
a weapon.
Is that your only tool?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Okay. Are you trained on how to use pepper spray?
yes.
Okay. Tell me about that training.
It's once a year.
Okay. Same as the use of force?
Yes.
Is that all in combination in one training, or is that separate?
It's separate.
Okay. And tell us, what are you trained on? How are you supposed to use pepper spray?
You're supposed to spray it in the facial region.
Okay. Approximately how big is a can of pepper spray?
We basically carry two different types. There's like a Mark IV that's probably about 6 inches and a circumference like that. And then we also carry a Mark IX, which is a 1 pound canister, a lot bigger. It's probably about like that.
Okay, so a Mark VI and a Mark IX. Is that what you said?
I believe it's Mark IV and Mark IX.
Mark IV and Mark IX. Okay, do you know where the number designations come from? The 4 and the 9?
No,
Okay. But
I do
the
not. That's what
But the 9 is bigger than the
Yes.
4? Okay, carries more liquid in it?
Yes.
Okay. Are there certain circumstances where you're supposed to use a 4 versus a 9?
Yeah, 4 would be more like a individual or like 2 individuals, where a Mark 9 would be for a group, a
Okay.
larger group.
Does a Mark 9 cover more area than a Mark 4?
It can spray further and cover more area, yes.
Okay. And contains
More.
more, okay. Okay, so, you gave, going, kind of circling back here, you gave the example of OC spray being a use of force. What other things would be considered a use of force? Non-deadly?
Any kind of physical resistance.
Okay. Is there a scale of less than deadly forces? Is one considered more aggressive than the other, or are they all on an equal playing field?
They're all equal playing field. You're supposed to use the amount of force necessary to maintain control of the situation.
Maintain control of the situation, okay. But are they all considered the same level? Do you understand my question? I don't think I'm asking it very well. Let me give you a hypothetical, okay? Hypothetically, if you had an inmate that was doing whatever, resisting, causing a danger to yourself or other officers, okay? Would it be considered from a use of force standpoint the same to use OC spray versus to go hands-on with somebody?
OC is supposed to be the first line
Okay,
of
that's your
control.
first tool you're supposed to use,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
All
that's
right.
not always feasible.
Okay. All right. So after an OC or use of force, you take an inmate to medical to get him checked out, you said, right?
Yes.
What else happens after a use of force?
They would be taken to, typically taken to segregation after that.
Okay?
Staff is also supposed to go to medical
Okay?
right after that,
All right. What's the purpose of staff going to medical?
just to evaluate any injuries,
Okay. Did you
problems
go
they
to,
might have.
did you go to medical after this incident?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any injuries after this incident?
No.
Okay. How about paperwork? What kind of paperwork, if any, is needed after a use of force incident?
You have to fill out a use of force statement.
And what is that?
It's a statement that describes your actions, why you took your actions, the reasons why.
Okay? And what happens after that form is filled out?
Supervisors make a use of force packet and they review it. Gets reviewed by different people.
By someone? Okay,
Yeah.
so you turn it into a supervisor?
Yes.
Okay. And then, what happens after that? If you know.
A lot of times they have a review of it. They'll do follow-up on it, which they did in this case.
They did in this case?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you personally have any follow-up
Yes.
after this? Okay, tell me what happened with you personally.
There was a captain that came in from another institution and interviewed me and asked me questions about the incident. And he did a report also on it also.
Okay. And, do you know what institution that captain came in from?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's been a while.
That's okay. But was it, it was from another, was that, if you know, was that person an ODRC
Yeah,
employee?
he was a captain from another correctional facility. I do remember that. Yes.
Okay.
ODRC.
All right, so it was an ODRC, not you're not speaking of someone from the Highway Patrol, correct?
No.
Okay. All right, and you said you spoke with that person?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I have one other thing I want to do with you, Officer Ellsworth. I'm going to pull up what I've marked as State's Exhibit number 6. Okay. There are cameras also, in addition to your body-worn camera, there are cameras on campus at Warren Correctional?
Yes.
Okay. And is there a camera that covers the yard area, the rec area?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know where that camera is located?
Well, there's several.
There's several?
There's one on the education building that faces recreation. I believe one of the below road blocks, 2A, has a camera pointing towards recreation.
Okay.
There might be a camera in the middle of the yard, which can probably be moved, that might be facing that way.
Oh, there we go. Okay, if you could take a look at your screen for me. This is State's Exhibit number 6. You seen this before? This angle?
Yes.
Okay. And what are we looking at here?
That's a housing unit. It's 2 Alpha. It's pointing up to well, you can see can I still mark, I guess?
Yeah. Whoops. Sorry, that was my bad.
That's the education. That's the education building, which is the recreation gate would be right here beside the education building, and the chapel would be a little closer this way from that.
Is your screen working? Can you touch it for me?
Yeah,
I don't know if it's.
it's on.
Oh, there we go.
It's on
Oh,
that
it's
one.
just not coming up on mine for some reason. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so that's the education building?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So from this perspective, where were you coming from?
From like right there, the the dot to the left.
Okay. All right. And if you hit at the bottom of your screen, you can hit clear. And we'll clear off the blue arrows there. Okay. All right. And we're going to zoom in a little bit here. If I can get here without going.
Yeah, you can just
What's that?
barely see me, I believe, right there
Here on this.
in the
this side
right
of the
beside
tree
the tree, yeah, in the red.
Okay. All right, and we're gonna. Okay. And this was State's Exhibit number 6. Is that a fair and accurate representation of what you observed that day?
Yes.
All right, and Officer Ellsworth, do you see the person you've been describing as Inmate King? Do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Stipulate to identification.
Thank you.
Noted, thank you.
All right, I have no further questions for you at this time, sir. I will pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Engel, you may inquire.
Thank you. That video up on the screen again.
Yep.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Thank you for coming in. Let's orient ourselves a little bit first. You did a use of force report in this case?
Yes.
Okay. And when you did the use of force report, you did that pursuant to the procedures and policies of ODRC?
Yes.
That would be one of the use of force policies, describes how you're supposed to do that.
Yes.
Now, when you do that report, you know it's important to include every detail in there, right?
Yes.
Everything that's important.
Yes.
You don't want to leave anything out that's important.
Yes.
Okay. You were probably taught when you did these reports, if it's not in there, it didn't happen, right?
I mean, yes, no, not necessarily. I mean,
Well,
if it's on camera and you didn't remember it, then it still happened, even if you didn't write it.
Okay, but it's important that you try to include all important details. Some details may not be captured by camera, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now, in this case, we're looking at this video here, which is the State's Exhibit 6. And this is a video that's taken from which angle?
That's from the 2 Alpha housing unit?
And what the jury see now, it's blown up pretty big, right?
Yes.
Now, I think you testified that there are a significant number of other cameras around there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me pull up, if I could switch over to this monitor here.
Should I unplug Brittany? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, unplug it, or do you want to just pull up the, which is easier, Brittany? It's easier. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this is your body cam that you showed before, right?
Yes.
And so, can you show us where are there other cameras that are around there?
There's one right here.
Okay, so on the right side here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It point.
That's a lot closer than the video we saw in State's Exhibit 6, right?
Yes.
This looks like a camera here too, right? That's a camera?
Yes.
Okay, that looks like it's what, maybe 20 yards from where this incident happened?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would have had a view of it there too, right?
Those cameras move, so it would depend on where it was pointing at that time.
All right. This camera, does that one move over here?
No, but it's pointing right at the rec gate, and it doesn't go over as far as where they were standing.
There's other cameras too around. Looks like, is that one right there? Is that a camera?
No, I don't believe that is, no.
Okay, where are the other cameras? Looks like there's one right here.
Yeah, that's probably the 2A camera,
Okay.
somewhere in that area.
Now that's a lot closer too then, right?
Now, the camera you're just pointing at, that's the one, the view you showed previously.
That's the view we showed before,
That was
right?
blown up.
There's one right here. There's one here. Where else are we gonna find cameras?
I mean, in front of all the units down there, but they just point straight ahead.
Okay. So lots of cameras around there, right?
Yes.
In addition to your body cam. Now, you indicated on your testimony that you were able to hear, I think you said yelling from 150 feet away, right? So this is where you're standing, about 150 feet, you'd say this is?
Yes.
Okay, and you're able to hear yelling, you said, right?
Yes.
Now, there's no one else around here, right? There's no other inmates in the yard, it looks like, right?
Right.
There's some way over here, I guess that is. Is that inmates there? Or is that something else?
Yeah, I believe that is.
Okay, some distance away, right?
Yes.
But no one else around, no other guards around either, right?
Right.
So it's just a conversation going on between, it's Mr. Hall, Mr. Cheeks, and Mr. King, right?
Right.
Now, are you able to hear this conversation at all? From 150 feet away?
When they're just talking a normal voice now.
Okay, so you don't
Probably
know, so it's fair to say you don't know what they said before you heard cuff up, right?
Right.
You only got involved when you heard yelling, so you don't know why Mr. King was told to cuff up.
No.
Now, did you observe pepper spray being put right in Mr. King's face? Did you observe someone holding pepper spray right in front of his face?
Yeah, I saw Officer Cheek holding it the can in his hand, in front of his face, yes.
Okay, you saw that. So may I approach, Your Honor?
You may?
Give me your use of force report, right? And again, we tried to put everything that's important in that use of force report.
Okay.
So can you tell me where you indicate in that use of force report that pepper spray was being held right in front of Mr. King's face?
I don't believe it's in that report.
Okay. And, I'm sorry, let me do this. Where did you indicate in that report that there was yelling?
The only time that would be in there is when we were yelling at him to cuff up when I was already there.
Okay, my question was a little bit different. Where in that use of force report, where you're supposed to put all the important details, did you indicate that you heard yelling?
I didn't.
You did. So you didn't include that detail either. So now let's advance this videotape a little bit. About 12 seconds, and that's when you saw someone swing there. You saw Mr. King swing at Mr. Hall, then, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you saw that, right?
Yes.
Okay, but you don't know what happened that precipitated that swing.
No, I couldn't hear all the details.
Right, you were too far away to hear, so you don't know if there was a threat made by Mr. Cheek, for example, right?
Right.
You don't know if there's a threat made by Mr. Hall.
Right.
Now, in looking at that use of force policy, which is Defendant's Exhibit C, you were asked about some parts of this policy, right?
Yes.
And said, and you were asked about the circumstances for when a staff member may use force, right? So you were not able to testify that before you got there, there was a risk of physical attack or a threat of physical harm to Mr. King.
No.
Okay. And when I say this, let me get the time frame, right? So we're talking about the time frame. Before you get there, Mr. Cheek is holding a pepper spray in Mr. King's face. So that's threatening to use force, right? You said pepper spray is less than deadly force?
Yes.
Okay. So he's threatening to use less than deadly force. Spray it in the face. By the way, have you been sprayed in the face with pepper spray?
Yes.
Part of your training?
Yes.
It's pretty unpleasant, right?
Yes.
Tell the jury how unpleasant it is.
It burns. It shut your eyes, burn your eyes.
Really hard to breathe too, right?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, you cough a lot.
Yeah, you're supposed to breathe through your nose so you don't get in your lungs. So it gets in your lungs, it burns your lungs, right?
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We've just dropped into this weird mirror universe now, where everything is reversed from where it was before. So we're all going to try to figure out. It does mess with your head. We've done this once before, and it is very unusual. But we'll get here in a minute. All right, Mr. Engel, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, on the videotape, when you approached the fight that's going on, that was you using your fist to punch Mr. King?
Yes.
How many times did you punch him?
I don't know.
Okay, and after every time you punched him, did you see if he was complying, or did you just keep punching him?
Yeah, we were trying to see if he would trying to get him to cuff up, and he was just continued to fight back.
Okay, so when people watch that videotape, I mean, I saw it looked like you were just going bang, 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 bang. Is that accurate?
I guess that's kind of accurate, yeah.
Okay. Was Mr. King intoxicated?
I don't know.
You didn't note that in your report, though, right?
No.
Okay. If you had noted, back up. If you had observed him being intoxicated, that's probably an important fact that you would have noted in your report, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the fact that it's not in your report is a pretty good indication that you didn't believe he was intoxicated.
I mean, I didn't have any evidence to say that he was intoxicated, but
Right. You didn't observe him walking like he was drunk?
no,
You didn't observe an odor of alcoholic beverage on his breath?
no.
Okay, and you were right up close to him, right? If he had smelled of alcohol, you would have smelled it, right?
I mean, I don't know if I would have smelled it in the heat of the moment of what was going on at that time, but
But if you had smelled it, you would have noted it in your report,
yeah,
because that's a pretty important fact.
yeah.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Anything else for this witness? Hold on just a second here.
Just a couple questions, Your Honor.
Okay.
Officer Ellsroth, is holding a pepper spray can or an OC spray can up to an incarcerated person, is that considered to be a use of force?
No, no,
Does it actually have to be deployed to be considered a use of force?
yeah.
Okay. Mr. Engel asked you about your use of force report. Do you have an opportunity to review the videos from the yard or your body-worn camera before you fill out the use of force reports?
A lot of times, yes.
Okay, how about in this particular instance? Do you remember, did you view those videos before you filled out the use of force, or did you fill out the use of force prior to viewing the videos?
I got to view the videos before filling it out.
Okay, so you watched the videos before? Okay. Okay, I have no further questions for you. Thank you.
Anything else for this witness, Mr. Engel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, thank you. You can step down. Next witness?
Next witness will be Officer Cheek.
These mics are 100 times better than my mics.
These mics are 100 times better than my mics. Now he's jealous.
Are your mics like this? Like, picking up a lot better.
Sometimes it's almost too loud if I listen to something back, it kind of. It's too loud.
The bailiffs are having lunch, as am I.
We have a Zoom.
All right, we're gonna go straight ahead there to Ms. Karilka.
Do you swear affirm the testimony from these proceedings will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated.
All right, sir, once you get yourself settled up there, give us your first and last name, and if you could spell your name for the record.
Matthew Cheek, Mathew,
All right, and how are you employed?
I'm a corrections officer at Warren Correctional Institution.
And how long have you been with Warren Correction?
4 years.
4 years?
Yes.
All right, employed as a correction officer that entire time?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and can you tell us a little bit about what your duties entail as a corrections officer?
Well, currently I am 4th shift special duty relief officer. So I go to different posts that are special duty wise, chapel, education, vocational. I do transports, Sallyport.
Basically where they need you, you
Yes,
go.
where they need me to go is where I go.
Okay, and how long have you been in that position?
Roughly 2 years.
Okay, is that the capacity of your employment on July the 11th of 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And were you working on that date?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall what hours you were working on that?
I was working 7 to 3. 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I apologize.
That's okay. You're fine. All right. And where was your particular assignment on that day?
I was the chapel officer.
And what does that mean?
I go up to the chapel. I make sure that individuals that come up there have their passes for their religious services. Make sure that it's clean up there, the safety of volunteers, the safety of the inmates.
Okay. And where is the chapel in relation to the rec yard?
It's right next door to the rec yard. So if you're looking at the chapel, to the left-hand side, there's the recreation.
Okay. Excuse me. And Officer Cheek, are you familiar with the defendant in this matter, Todd King?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. How are you familiar with Mr. King?
He was an inmate at Warren Correctional Institution.
All right. And did you, through your employment, did you have occasion to interact with him at all?
I've interacted with him before, yes, ma'am.
Okay. In what capacity?
Just hi, bye, how are you doing?
Okay. Ever have any issues with Mr. King?
No, ma'am.
All right. And we're going to focus now on July the 11th. And on that day of 2024, on that day, did you become involved in an incident, situation between Mr. King and Investigator Hall?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you know Investigator Hall.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know him?
He is the investigator at Warren Correctional Institution.
All right. And how, tell us what drew your attention to the defendant on this particular day.
So I was in the chapel, I guess, lobby area. Inmates were coming in. I was checking their IDs, their passes, making sure that they were allowed to be there that day. Then I happened to look outside. I seen Inmate King and Investigator Hall. I didn't know what their interaction was. I seen Investigator Hall pull his cuffs out. Then I seen Inmate King back away. So I then went outside to see what was going on, to see if he needed any assistance. I then heard
Investigator Hall?
Yes, Investigator Hall.
Okay.
I then went outside and I heard clear verbal directives from JT Hall to tell Inmate King to cuff up. He was refusing all directives.
Okay. What made you decide to intervene in this situation?
Because Inmate King was being non-compliant and ignoring all clear verbal directives from Investigator Hall.
Okay. Tell us what it means to cuff up.
That means to place your hands behind your back so we can safely put restraints on the inmate for their safety and ours.
Okay. And you overheard Investigator Hall issuing this command to the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know why Investigator Hall was issuing a cuff up?
At the time, no, I did not.
Was that important to you to know why?
No, it was not.
Okay. What's proper procedure when you insert yourself into a situation like this?
Basically, clear verbal directives.
Okay.
Keep
what?
a monotone.
Okay. Meaning what?
Just basically enough to where they can clearly hear what you're saying.
Okay. Is part of the process increasing your volume of your voice?
After multiple clear verbal directives, sometimes you do have to raise your voice a little bit.
Okay. Do you think during this interaction, were you yelling at Mr. King?
No, I do not believe I was yelling at Inmate King.
Okay. Were you using a stern tone of voice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What were you directing him to do?
When I walked outside?
Yep.
I walked outside. I then told Inmate King to cuff up. I then broadcasted to him that if he did not cuff up, that OC spray would be utilized.
Okay. And what is OC spray?
Pepper spray.
Okay. Have you ever had occasion to come into contact with pepper spray?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, under what circumstance?
Just use of the forces, inmate fights, other staff assaults.
Sort of incidental contact?
Yes.
Okay.
So you spray it all the time?
How does it feel when you get pepper sprayed?
Just burning, makes your eyes water, coughing.
Okay. So tell us what you did next. You issued the directive to him.
Yeah.
Right?
And then
Did he comply?
he acted like he was going to. JT then asked inmate King, said, "Are you going to comply or to cuff up?" Inmate King said, "Yes, I will cuff up."
Okay, and when he said, yes, I will cuff up, what did you think was gonna happen?
I assumed that inmate King was going to comply and let JT Hall put hand restraints on him.
Okay, now let's back it up just a little bit. So when you are issuing your orders to cuff up, when Investigator Hall is issuing his orders to cuff up, did you have your OC spray out?
At the beginning, don't think so, but at the end of it, yes, I did.
Okay, and why did you take out your OC spray?
To just in case I had to utilize to gain compliance.
Okay, was there a time that you thought he was not going to comply?
At the beginning, yes, but then he then stated to us that, yes, I will comply to be cuffed up.
Okay, and was he exhibiting any signs to make you think he was not going to comply at that point?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what are pre-aggression indicators?
Pulling your pants up, balling your fist, the way you stand, way you move your feet,
Okay,
constant eye jerking.
okay, so those are examples, but what is a pre-aggression indicator? Like, what does that mean?
That means that they're ready to fight.
Okay, a clue that they're gonna fight.
Yes.
Are you trained on pre-aggression indicators?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how are you trained?
I do annual training classes,
Okay.
DTSC and stuff like that, ma'am.
Part of your annual training?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when an inmate is showing pre-aggression indicators, what are you supposed to do for your training?
Create distance.
Okay? Meaning step away from them?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
If it's severe enough to utilize OC spray to prevent any assaultive behavior.
Okay. What is de-escalation?
Talking to them, trying to understand the situation.
Is that part of your training as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is that part of your training on something you're supposed to do when someone is showing pre-aggression indicators?
No, ma'am. If
No?
they're showing pre-aggression indicators, that means that they are basically at their peak.
Okay. So we've moved beyond de-escalation if they're showing pre-aggression indicators?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Now, back in the moment, Mr. King says he's going to comply, he's going to cuff up,
Yes.
and you said he's not showing any pre-aggression indicators at this point?
No, he put his hands behind his back.
Okay. So what was your intent at that point?
He's going to cuff up. I did put my pepper spray by my side. JT Hall went to the other side of inmate King to place him in restraints. At that time, when JT Hall was behind him, he then quickly turned around and gave a close-fisted strike to JT's facial area.
Okay. And where were you positioned when this happened?
I was almost completely in front of inmate King.
Okay. And do you know, can you describe why you were in that position?
Just to see if anything was going to happen. At that time, I did not see any indicators, anything like that.
Okay. And you said you had lowered your OC spray at that point?
Yes, at that time, it was by my side.
Okay. Had you deployed it in any capacity?
Not at that time, no.
Okay. Yeah, I'm talking about right at that time. What does it take to deploy OC spray? Like, what do you do? How do you
Oh,
deploy
you just take it out of the holster, you put your thumb in it and pull it and push it.
Is it like a trigger?
No, it's just like a little pin, flat pin.
Okay. So you push on the pin?
Yes.
All right. And how much pressure does it take to deploy it?
Not very much.
Okay. Could you deploy it accidentally?
Yes.
Okay. When OC spray is deployed, does it make a sound?
Just like a hissing sound.
Like a hissing sound?
Yes.
Okay. You can hear it coming out of the canister?
Yes.
Okay.
Why we need to
All
know
right.
that, I don't know. Sounds like spray?
Once he made contact with Investigator Hall, what happened next?
Then I did disperse OC, which was ineffective.
Okay. Meaning what?
He then started to close the distance between us two, and then I was forced to go hands-on for my safety.
Okay. And do you know where Investigator Hall was during this point?
No.
Okay. Were you worried about where Investigator Hall was at this point?
No, I was worried about my safety.
Okay. And at this point, was anyone else besides the three of you involved?
No, it was, at the beginning, it was just us three.
Okay. Other officers eventually
Yes, ma'am.
showed up, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, including Officer Elzerel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Officer Cheek, what if the defendant had complied and cuffed up as you thought he was going to?
Mm-hmm.
What would have happened next? What was the next step?
With that right there, I do not know.
There was
Hold on
an
just a
objection.
second. Nature of your objection?
Calls for speculation.
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead and answer if you can.
He says I do
So
not
if
know.
he had, my question is, had he complied at that point and cuffed up, what would have happened next?
With that, I do not know. I do
stop.
not know. I didn't know why Investigator Hall was instructing him to be placed in cuffs.
Okay? All right?
So I'm assuming that he would have
Hold on. If he says he doesn't know, let's move on to a different
okay.
question.
Yeah, you don't assume for me,
Okay.
okay? You do not know.
Okay.
Okay. On the date that this happened, were you equipped with a body worn camera?
Yes, I was.
All right, and was it functioning properly?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you've had an opportunity to view that video, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So at this point, officer, I have marked that video, I think as State's Exhibit number 1. And if you could switch me over there.
Correct, 217.
Judge, can we
And
watch?
If you could, before we start watching here, just kind of give us a landscape here, orient us as to where we are and what we're looking at, okay?
Okay,
The
well, right
screen-
now-
The screen in front of you is a
Yeah.
touch screen, so.
Okay. So right here is the rec area. Behind me is the chapel. And then to the left of us is considered the low road housing units.
Okay, and.
So you took the low road? What is
Where,
he saying?
where on your body do you wear your camera?
At
My
this
biceps.
day, I think I had it right in the center mass.
Okay, so
Under my
right on your
beard.
chest, so that's kind of the perspective we've got. On the screen that we're looking at, do we see, what are we looking at up here
Oh, that's the
in
rec
this
area.
area?
To show you where I was. Right there is Officer Elger.
Okay, in the red right here.
Yes.
Correct? All
Yes.
right.
If you touch right here, it'll clear the whole screen, everything that you
Oh,
do,
okay.
just like right on top.
Okay.
Got it? All right.
Turn around. King, turn around now. Final directive to turn around or I will spray you.
Judge,
No, they sprayed nobody.
Turn around and cuff up.
Cuff up what was your order? Turn around. You said give you the ear.
Okay, turn around and cuff up. Turn around now.
Nice.
I will spray you.
I'm asking you nice. I'm gonna ask you nicely to turn around.
It was under the bird.
Are you gonna do it or not?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Then turn around. Drop the trash. Drop the trash. Give me your other arm. Cuff up. Give me your other arm. Cuff up. Cuff up. Give me your other arm. Cuff up. Cuff up now. Somebody put cuffs on him. I got cuffs right here, sir. Get up and put cuffs on him. Put cuffs on him. Relax, relax. I can't see. All right.
I got you.
Everybody off.
Jake, I got you.
Everybody off.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it at 1 minute and 36 seconds into
Wow.
the video. And I'm gonna go back just a little bit.
That was the beard cam. I was joking that he wore it under his beard, but now I know why he grows out. Why all the guards grow out their beards, apparently.
Do you know how long the interaction between Investigator Hall and the defendant was going on before you arrived?
No, I do not.
Okay. We're gonna go right about here, which is 23 seconds into the video. Okay?
Hey, nice. I'm gonna ask you nicely to turn around.
Pause it right there, and if I can get the bottom screen down here where my arrow is. Is this the hand that you had the OC spray in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you deploying it?
No, I was
Okay.
not.
Do you know if the trigger was accidentally brushed or anything at that point?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And further into the video where we had stopped, I think, are you the one saying, I can't see?
I'm sorry.
Are you the one saying, I can't see further in on the video? We can go.
Are you gonna do it or not?
I don't remember.
Then turn around. Drop the trash. Drop the trash. Give me your other arm. Cuff up. Give me your other arm. Cuff up. Cuff up. Give me your other arm. Cuff up. Cuff up now.
All right, I'm gonna pause it right there, 1 minute and 9 seconds into the video. There's several commands there to cuff up. Is that you were hearing on the?
Yeah, one of them, yes.
One of them?
Yes.
Okay. The camera's the angle's a little odd here. I think we got a good
beard.
picture of your beard going on. But where is Inmate King at this
On the
particular
ground.
point? He is on the ground?
Yes.
Okay, face up, face down? Do you recall?
I do not recall.
Okay. Is he complying at this point?
No, he is not.
What is he doing at this point?
I could not, I don't recall what he was doing. I
Okay.
just know he was not complying with our directives to
Okay. Was
to
he
cuff
putting
up.
his hands behind his back at all?
No, he was not.
Okay.
Somebody put cuffs on him. I got cuffs right here, sir. Get up and put cuffs on him. Put cuffs on him.
At this point, we're at 1 minute and 26 seconds in is he complying at this point?
What is it?
Is he complying at this point in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you know what was the turning point? When did he start complying and why?
I could not tell you that.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. But at this point, hands are behind the back and he's getting secured, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm going to show you one other thing. I'm going to take a look at the video from the yard, which I believe you've seen as well, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is, for the record, this is State's Exhibit number 6. And I'm going to start this, and if you could give us, once I get it into the right screen, again, just sort of like an orientation of what and who we're looking at here.
All right, so
Okay?
to the left is Inmate King.
Okay?
And then with the tan looking pants on right by him,
Mm-hmm.
that's Investigator Hall.
Okay.
And behind Investigator Hall is me.
Okay? And you got
and-
sort of dark pants and a tan
Yes,
shirt?
yes, ma'am. And then over here to the red,
Okay.
that's Elzeroth.
That's Ellsroth?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Now, going back to this individual right here, you said this is Mr. King with the dark clothing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what is this white thing that's?
That's a trash bag.
That's a trash bag? Why
Yes.
did he have a trash bag? Do you know?
Because at the time he was the individual that walked around the compound and picked up trash.
Okay.
He just went everywhere.
Okay. All right. And we're going to take a look at this. Okay. And I'm going to pause it right there. Are you able to tell what's going on right there? You can go a little bit further.
JT Hall went to the other side of Inmate King to attempt to place him in cuffs.
Okay.
And right there you can see Inmate King striking JT Hall.
Okay. And did you witness Investigator Hall striking the defendant at all?
No, ma'am.
Did you witness Investigator Hall making a move towards the defendant
No, ma'am.
other than trying to place cuffs on him?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you hear Investigator Hall make any threats towards the defendant?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and we kind of see Investigator Hall get back into the frame there, correct?
Yes.
Did he re-engage that you know of?
The only thing that I know that he did, he deployed OC spray
Okay, and how do you know he deployed OC spray?
because I got sprayed.
You got sprayed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, in the face?
Yes, ma'am.
How'd that feel?
It burned a little bit.
Okay. Did it affect your vision at all?
It just makes your eyes water a little bit.
Okay. Maybe makes things a little blurry?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And, officer, what kind of, well, I should ask, do you receive training as to use of force through Warren Correctional?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What kind of training do you receive?
Pepper spray, DTSE,
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
DTSE.
What is that?
It's basically like self-defense.
Okay. All right. And, are you familiar with the use of force policy through?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what circumstances would a staff be able to use less than lethal force?
To gain compliance of a non-compliant inmate.
Okay. And after a use of force, is there a procedure that has to be followed?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that.
So obviously here, after the use of force, an MER would have to be done, which is a medical exam report.
Okay,
So that would have to be done in medical, by a nurse.
okay. And are you referring to the inmate
Inmate and staff.
and staff?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's got to go to medical.
Yes.
Okay, and is that true in any use of force regardless of what it is?
Yes.
Okay. And what happens after that?
The inmate would go to TPU holding cell,
What's TPU?
segregation,
Okay. And why is that?
for the investigation.
Okay. Investigation into the use of force?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then how about you as a staff member?
I
What happens with you?
I would go to medical, get looked at by the nurse, make sure I have no wounds, anything like that. And then I would go to shift office and do my use of force report.
Okay, and what is the use of force report?
Basically, it's all the circumstances and everything that led up to the use of force, my actions in the use of force, the outcome of the use of force.
Okay.
It's interesting that the
Is
white
there a
shirt
time
showed
frame
up
as to when a use of
and
force
was yelling,
report
"Get off him,
needs
get
to
off
be
him."
filled out?
I'm not for sure the exact time.
Okay. Do you recall in this particular incident, how long was it between the incident and when you filled out the use of force report?
I do believe it was within the hour.
Within an hour?
Yeah.
Okay. When you filled out the use of force report here, had you seen the videos that we looked at?
No, ma'am.
Okay. When did you first see those?
Whenever
If you recall.
I've seen it one time. I can't remember when I did.
Okay. But you're certain you had not viewed them before you filled out the use of force report?
No, ma'am, I have not.
All right. After the report is filled out, who is it submitted to? Do you know?
I do not know.
Okay. What happens to it? I mean, what do you physically do with it?
I route it to the supervisor that is handling the whole use of force packet.
Okay. And reference this particular incident, were you ever asked to speak to any sort of investigator?
Over this, I don't recall if I got interviewed for this or not.
Okay. Is that a typical procedure that is in place for you to be interviewed? I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm using the you collective. You
Yes,
being
yes.
staff. Okay. All right. But you don't recall
I do not recall.
in this one? Okay. All right. Officer Chief, you see the person in the courtroom we've been discussing today, Mr. King?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me where he's seated and what he's wearing, please?
He's sitting right behind you with a blue
you.
shirt on, hoodie on.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, sir. I have no further questions for you at this point, okay?
right,
Pass the
thank you.
witness.
Mr. Engel, you may inquire.
Who broke Mr. King's arm?
Not for sure.
Did you?
I don't know
How did it
who.
break?
I'm not for sure how it broke.
Is that common that inmates' arms get broken?
No, sir.
Overruled.
Now, it's inmates, they're people, right? You have to treat them with respect.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just because they've been convicted of a crime doesn't mean you can abuse them, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So, for example, you can't just tell someone to cuff up because you feel like it. You have to have a reason.
I can have anybody cuff up at any time to do a pat-down search or a strip-out search if I feel like they have any contraband on their body at any time.
Right. So, in other words, you can ask them to cuff up because you have a reason to search
Yes.
them. Right. You can't just walk down the streets, down the pathway and say, I don't like inmate Smith, make him cuff up and put him in segregation or something.
No.
So you arrive at this scene. Let's put on the other. I'm going to switch to the video here.
Yeah, if
Are
you
we plugged
guys,
in, Mr. Engel?
if
You
you
should be,
if
yes,
you had to
Your Honor.
leave and came back, everything did switch. The courtroom was having problems with their video,
Everything's in a different place.
and they switched to a different courtroom to go live again.
Oh,
There you go.
Here we go.
So
Same
let's go to the
trial,
beginning
everything's
of your
reversed.
tape. First, you don't see much. And at the beginning of the tape, you're just walking up on the scene, right?
Yes.
And all you know is that Mr. Hall had asked Mr. King to cuff up.
Yes.
You didn't know why he was being asked to cuff up.
No, he was being given clear verbal directives to cuff up.
I understand. And you can hear that on the tape, right?
Yes.
Okay. But you don't know why he had been given that directive.
No, I do not.
So you don't know if, for example, Mr. Hall was being arbitrary and just picking on Mr. King.
Yes.
Yes, you don't know that.
No, yes, I don't know that.
Okay.
If he
So
wasn't
what
on.
efforts did you make to determine whether Mr. Hall had a good reason to ask Mr. King to cuff up.
At the time, Investigator Hall was giving clear verbal directives for inmate King to cuff up, and he was being non-compliant.
Okay, but that wasn't my question. My question was, what efforts did you make to determine whether Mr. Hall had a good reason to ask?
I don't know if he had a good reason to tell inmate King to cuff up, sir.
Did you make any efforts to find that out?
No, sir.
Okay, but you see this confrontation between Hall and King?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Hall is subject to the use of force policy too, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, for example, if I could have that screen here on it.
Maybe.
Zoom in a little bit on this. You don't know whether Mr. Hall was verbally or physically provoking or abusing Mr. King, do you?
Before I came outside, no, I did not.
Okay. Did you make any effort to determine whether Mr. Hall was verbally or physically provoking or abusing Mr. King?
No, sir.
You don't know whether Mr. Hall had created the situation where Mr. King may attempt to assault him?
No, sir.
What efforts did you make to determine whether Mr. Hall had created that situation?
There was none.
Okay, you made no effort.
No, sir.
Now, you're also aware that there's without going into the details that we did before, a duty to de-escalate, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I think you talked about that in your testimony.
Yes.
Okay, you said, I think in your testimony you said that you should create distance between an employee and an inmate, right?
Yes, when there's pre-assaultive indicators.
Okay, but you didn't see any pre-assaultive indicators, right?
No.
Okay, and so you had no reason to believe that Mr. King was going to engage in any kind of force, right?
No, sir.
Okay, but you decided you were going to hold your pepper spray right up into his face anyway.
I did not hold it to his face, sir.
Well, if I
There was distance between my.
Okay, there was distance, what?
No, there was roughly 2 foot, sir.
About roughly 2 foot,
Yes.
which is pretty close to pepper spray, right? That stuff comes out pretty fast and hard.
The can that I have, it was not a stream.
Okay.
It is something that comes out and goes. It's area contaminated.
Okay, air conditioner, but it's really unpleasant to get it in his face.
But yes, that's true.
Okay, and 2 feet, that's not creating distance, is it?
No, sir.
Okay, and so what interpersonal communication skills did you do to de-escalate the situation with Mr. King?
I broadcasted to him that if he did not cuff up, that I was going to spray him.
Okay. And so, now, I'm confused, because it sounds to me like spraying someone is an escalation, not a de-escalation. Where am I wrong about that?
I did not spray him.
Okay.
At that point in time, I broadcasted to him to de-escalate the situation of what would happen if he did not cuff up. If he did not cuff up, then I would spray him.
Okay, and so you threatened to spray him if he didn't comply with the orders?
I did not threaten him. I broadcasted to him what would happen.
Okay, so you're differentiating between the word broadcast and threaten?
No, I'm telling you that what I did was I broadcasted to him to let him know.
So you told him, broadcast, the word
Yes, broadcast.
I want to make sure I understand your word broadcast, because you're not using your radio, right?
I'm sorry?
You're not using your radio to talk, right?
No.
You're not using a microphone to talk, right?
No, I'm not.
You're not using anything to amplify your voice, right?
No, I'm not.
You're not on an FM or AM radio, right?
No, sir.
So you're using the term broadcast, you mean I told him, right? Let's use plain words.
It's called broadcasting, sir.
Okay, I use plain words. If I say you told him to do that, am I incorrect?
Yeah, but what we use is we use broadcast. We let them know what would happen.
Right. You let him know that if he didn't comply with the command, you're going to spray him in the face with this.
I didn't say in the face, sir.
You told him you're going to spray him, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And the spray was pointed towards his face, right?
His facial area, yes, sir.
Yeah, so his reasonable assumption would be if I don't comply, you're going to spray me in the face.
I would assume so.
Okay. what did you do at that moment then when he doesn't initially comply to de-escalate the situation?
I gave him a final directive.
Okay, so you just repeated what you did. You didn't do anything to back off, right?
No, sir.
Did you attempt to, other than telling him, other than broadcasting to him that you're going to spray him, did you communicate or verbally interact with him to avoid using force?
At that point in time, I did not use force.
Okay. Did you create physical space between yourself and Mr. King?
There was space between us.
Okay. Did you create more physical space?
No, I did not, because there was no pre-indicators.
Okay. He didn't pose a danger to himself, right?
No.
Did you allow time and distance to manage his behavior?
Yes. I left time. He then said that he was going to cuff up.
Now, in your testimony, you said something a little bit different. You said that de-escalation is talking to them, trying to understand their situation. Do you remember
Yes.
saying that? What words did you broadcast to Mr. King in order to try to understand his situation?
To let him know that if he did not cuff up, that he would end up being sprayed.
Okay. Explain to me how that is an effort to try to understand his situation. Those were your words.
Yes.
How were you trying to understand his situation by telling him, cuff up or I will spray you?
Because at that point in time, he was already given clear verbal directives to be placed in cuffs.
I understand that. I want to know what you did, because you said that you're supposed to understand his situation. I want to know what you did to try to understand his situation.
If he would have cuffed up, then we could have spoke about it.
Did you, before you did it, did you ask him why he was arguing with Mr. Hall?
No, I did not.
In fact, you didn't even know if he was arguing with Mr. Hall, right?
I walked outside and JT Hall was giving him clear verbal directives to be placed in cuffs.
Okay. But you don't know what happened before that, I think.
No, I do not.
Now, if we can go back to the videotape here.
Spray you.
The sound isn't going through the thing.
Okay.
Actually, I want to go up to 30 seconds here.
Because they're being quite reasonable in that part.
Now, is it your testimony that Mr. King took a swing at Mr. Hall before pepper spray was in his face?
No. I said that pepper spray was utilized after he struck JT Hall in the face.
Okay, I think that's what I meant to say. So that's, I just want to be clear. Your testimony is the course of events was Mr. King strikes Mr. Hall, and then you deployed pepper spray.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is it possible you deployed pepper spray at this moment, approximately 30 seconds in there, before Mr. King takes a swing at Mr. Hall?
No, no, sir.
We don't have any audio.
Now, was Mr. King intoxicated?
I'm not a medical trained professional to make that determination, sir.
Okay, you don't need to be, right? You've been around people who are intoxicated, right?
I can say yes.
Yeah, anyone can say yes, right? You've been around friends who might have had too much to drink.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Or even a little to drink, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's things you see, like bloodshot eyes, sometimes people who've been drinking.
Yeah, but different people take alcohol or any
Understand.
intoxicating substance different.
Odor of alcoholic beverage, you might smell on their breath that they're intoxicated.
Possible, yes.
Okay. Did you notice any alcohol on Mr. King?
No, I did not.
Did you notice anything that that would indicate to you as a layperson that he was intoxicated?
No, sir.
Okay. And if you had, you would have noted that in your report, right?
I would assume so, yes.
Yeah, because when you do these conduct reports and use of force reports, it's important to include all the key details, right?
Yes.
So if you didn't include in that report, it's fair to say you didn't observe it.
I would say so, yes.
We've got one bailiff in the courtroom and then 2 standby bailiffs. The standby guys are super relaxed. Judge is writing an email asking for new mics in his courtroom because these ones are so much better.
Are you aware that Mr. King was taken to Ohio State Medical Center eventually?
No, that's what I heard. Yes, sir.
Okay, and that was to treat his broken arm?
His alleged broken arm. Yes, sir.
Well, not alleged, it actually was broken.
I don't know if it was broken or not, sir.
You have no reason to doubt that it was broken.
I don't know.
If the medical records from the nurses at Warren say it was broken, it probably was broken, right?
I did not speak to the nurse about the situation, sir.
That's not what I asked. You have no reason to doubt those records would be accurate.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah,
You're not suggesting someone.
Why is he so
doctored
belligerent?
records or anything like that.
no.
Okay. And those records will speak for themselves. We don't need you to testify to that.
Okay.
Anything else?
Okay, you're familiar that Mr. King uses an inhaler?
No, I do not.
I thought you said you were familiar with it from before, right?
Yes, but I've never heard of him using an inhaler, sir.
Okay. If you later learn that he did use an inhaler, you have no reason to doubt that's true.
I can't confirm or deny that he uses one.
Okay. I have nothing else, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything else with this witness?
Officer Chief, did you see,
Did I screw that up?
did you see Investigator Hall provoking or abusing the defendant?
No, ma'am.
Did the defendant indicate to you in any capacity that Investigator Hall was treating him poorly, provoking him, abusing him?
No, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Angle had you take a look at, Defendant's Exhibit C, which is the use of force policy. You're familiar with that policy, correct?
Yes.
And he went through the de-escalation and behavioral trainings. In fact, he still has his up there, so I'm gonna use his. He went through these procedures with you on your cross, correct?
Yeah.
All right, and it's A, B, and C. But if we flip over to the next page, there's actually a D and an E there, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you actually have a duty under this policy to announce or broadcast.
Yes, ma'am.
To, as using your terminology, broadcast to an incarcerated person, the type of force that may be used if they do not comply.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Under D, staff shall warn the IP that planned force may have to be used to resolve the situation when it's safe and possible to do so. Was it safe and possible for you to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you warning the defendant as to the amount of force or the force that would be used?
Yes, ma'am.
Had he not complied?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and again, under E, the very next one down, staff shall allow the incarcerated person a final opportunity to comply with the order once the necessary staff are assembled prior to the commencement of the planned force. Okay, you use the term final directive in your testimony.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us what a final directive is?
So, a final directive is you give clear verbal directives to an inmate. If they do not comply, you give them a final verbal directive, and then force could be utilized to gain compliance, so no other force has to be utilized.
By issuing that final directive to the defendant on that day, were you complying with Section E that we're looking at here of the use of force policy?
Yes, ma'am.
By issuing a final opportunity for him to comply?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Engel, anything
Nothing
else with this
further, Your
witness?
I
Thank you,
think
sir.
the
You can
defendant
step
was in the
down.
wrong.
Thank you.
That's my personal standing.
Next witness?
But I
Next
also
witness
think,
is Investigator Hall.
Do we want to start with Investigator Hall today?
yeah, start with him.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Court's pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, are we good to go till 5 today? Okay,
Okay.
seems like a nice round number.
I think there are things that that these corrections officers were doing that fit within the guidelines that allow them to use a lot. I'd say abuse their authority, but be within their guidelines. Does that make sense? Like, there is no doubt in my mind that there was almost zero concern in their thoughts about, now that we've got him to the ground, quick, let's get a hold of his hands. It was, he punched one of us, we're getting him. And I think that's wrong. He's the guy who's sick, right?
All right, sir, we're gonna do our best today to get through your testimony. So let's get started and give us your name, please.
My name is Jason T. Hall. I'm also known as JT Hall, so if you hear JT a lot,
That's you, right?
that's me.
Okay, all right, and how are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed with the state of Ohio with the Department of Rehabilitation and Correction at Warren Correctional. I've been employed with the state of Ohio now for almost 31 years, 30 and a half years. I spent 25 years at Lebanon Correctional, and I spent the last few years at Warren Correctional.
All right, and in what capacity are you employed?
I'm currently an investigator at Warren Correctional. I've been an investigator since 2011, where I've also been an investigator at Lebanon, and I came to Warren in 2020. Prior to that, I was a accreditation manager, and prior to that, I was a lieutenant, and I've also been a correction officer.
Okay. Jack of all trades.
Overtime.
Overtime. All right. Tell us, give us a little bit of explanation as to what your job entails as an investigator.
As a prison investigator, my job is to do administrative investigations, which could be on staff or inmates. Also do investigations that could deal with the property that we're on. When I do these investigations, I look for rules of conduct. For staff, you look for rules that have standards for employee conduct that could have been violated. And then at any time, if any of that becomes criminal, then I call OIS, this is Highway Patrol, and the Highway Patrol has an investigative trooper that will look at it for possible criminal charges.
Okay, so you handle more of the administrative side versus OSP doing the criminal side. Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, are there specific investigators that with OSP that are assigned to each prison?
Yes.
Okay. And who are the investigators that are assigned to Warren, if you know?
Right now, it's Trooper Byron. They change every 6 months, but they come from OIS, which is located down in Westchester.
Okay. And at the time of the incident that we're talking about, which would have been July of 2024, who was the investigator assigned?
That had been Trooper Klontz, who's now Sergeant Klontz, as he was promoted.
Okay. And he's actually at a different post now, correct? Out in Jackson, if I'm
That's correct.
not mistaken. All right. Okay, so we've had a lot of talk about Warren Correctional. Why don't you go ahead and give the jurors some information as to what it is, what happens there, just kind of describe the facility for us.
Warren Correctional is a level 3 facility. If you're familiar with both of them, Warren and Lebanon, both of them's level 3 facilities within our correction system. Warren Correctional, well, both institutions are basically the same, but they house offenders who've been convicted of a felony offense. Doing time, it could be from 1 year, it could be a life sentences. Warren Correctional does have an additional what they call RTU treatment program that has inmates residential treatment units. Warren Correctional has level 1, 2, and 3 inmates that house themselves there. So if they mess up at Warren Correctional or Lebanon Correctional administratively, an inmate then would go to your Lucasville or OSP in Youngstown.
Okay, so how do the levels work? 1, 2, is 1 the highest?
Oh, level 1's the lowest. Level 1's the ones that you might see on the side of the road in brown, khakis, or you might see them on 75 or 71 picking up trash. Those are level 1's, very low, no violent offenses. Level 2's, then it goes up to a level 4. It used to be 5, but it goes up to a level 4, which is maximum security, which is, if you're from here, you always hear about the Lucasville SOCF area.
Okay. All right, and at any given time, approximately how many inmates are housed at Warren?
At Warren, we have approximately 1,000 inmates that are housed there.
Okay. And what kind of ratio is there inmate to corrections officer, if you know?
I really don't know that amount, but I can tell you that 2 officers will work a housing unit that would contain maybe 128 inmates, I believe. So that's usually what the housing units consist of.
Okay. So I'm going to direct your attention to July the 11th of 2024. Obviously, you were employed in your capacity as an investigator, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And at that time, were you familiar with the defendant in this case, Todd King?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how are you familiar with him?
He was a yard porter, so he was always walking around out there. And one of the roles that an investigator does is you're always trying to find the illegal drugs. You're trying to find illegal activity going on in the yard, and you do that by intelligence gathering. So it's always constantly watching and learning what inmates do and what people do. And so him working on the yard, he was prime suspect of transporting drugs in his trash bag. He's prime
Objection.
suspect in passing stuff he's not supposed to pass.
Objection.
Things of that nature.
Objection. Move to
Overruled.
strike.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm allowing this testimony for a very limited purpose. I'm allowing it for the purpose of explaining why the investigator was doing the things that that he was doing. You can consider it for that and for no other purpose.
He's a prime suspect in
Okay.
transporting
So
narcotics.
fair to say that your job is not just sitting behind a desk all day and doing investigations.
That's correct.
All right. You're out there amongst the COs, amongst the inmates on a daily basis?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, had you ever at that time interacted with Inmate King at all?
I had. Inmate King has, he's been in prison for a minute, so he has those jobs out there. I've seen him walking around before, and he's had contraband in previous times.
Objection.
Overruled.
And what I mean by contraband is prisons have to run by rules. You have to have rules to run them. It's just like laws on the street. And the easiest way to say this is a prison is a small city behind a fence. And so our job is to enforce those rules, which is like laws. One of the things inside of a male facility is when they're walking on the yard, they got to be in what we call state clothing. They got to have state pants on. They got to have a state shirt on. They got to have their ID badge with them. These are just minor rules, but they're major in the rehabilitation process. There's plenty of times that these guys like piercing one ear and putting one piece of material in their ear. Never know, but they're trying to insinuate an earring, or they try to wear gold chains. It's contraband. Mr. King was always known of wearing earrings or big gold necklaces of some type, or fake gold necklaces. So I'd always have to tell him to take those off. We'd enforce the rules. That's how I
Where's
remember
he getting
him.
his
He also
fake
liked to
gold?
pass contraband.
Objection.
I'm going to sustain that objection. The jury will disregard that reference.
Let me ask you this. You're using the word contraband, okay? And by contraband in a prison setting, can that be something that somebody on the outside, not necessarily illegal per se, in a criminal sense, but something, like you said, the earrings. Somebody on the outside is okay to have earrings, might not be so on the inside of a prison, correct?
That's correct,
Okay,
because
so when
of-
we're using the word contraband, it's more of a generalized term, not necessarily guns, drugs, the thing that an everyday person would think of as contraband, correct?
Jewelry's big on that, yes.
Jewelry is big. Jewelry is on the contraband list for prison, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there are policies in place, correct?
Policies and Ohio Revised Code.
Policies and the Ohio Revised Code. Okay, so what controls what a prison inmate can have on the inside of an institution?
First, the Ohio Revised Code that is written so that the department will write a policy. The policy tells you a list of stuff that they are allowed to have, and then the inmate manual at each institution. If the managing officer changes anything, he'll put it in an inmate manual.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 8 at this point. And I'm going to put that down there. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what is that document, sir?
That's the incarcerated person's personal property policy.
Okay, and what is the purpose of that document?
That right there is our rules. That's what makes us, as staff members of the Department of Corrections, to ensure that the property they get has to be in this policy, and it can't be over 2.4 cubic feet when they leave.
Okay. And we've seen a lot of these policies throughout the day today. And this one, I'm going to direct your attention to, let's see, page 5 of 11, and specifically section C. And if you could refer to number 6, what does that cover in that particular section?
Number 6 right there tells the reader or the staff member per OAC Rule 5120-9-25, Section K, the appearance and grooming of male inmates. Male IPs, which stands for incarcerated persons, are not permitted to wear earrings. Therefore, male IPs cannot order, possess, or wear earrings.
Okay. Now, why is that particular policy important to your dealings with Mr. King?
Mr. King, being out on the yard, has the presence of being able to run into visitors, contractors, volunteers, and also being employed for so long, know that's a rule. In order to show that the outside public that come into the prisons, that we do make guys follow the rules that we post on our policies.
Okay. All right. So let's go back to July 11th of 2024. Tell us what were you doing on that particular day?
One of the jobs as an investigator, I work directly for the warden. I'm on his executive staff. We have to do what we call the administrative duty officer schedule. And what that is every 12 days, we represent the warden by making visits to different posts, talking to staff, checking for cleanliness, checking for policies and things of what's going on. And we write a report at the end of our shift to let him know, because he can't get everywhere in one day. So as a member of his executive staff, I had administrative duty officer duty that day. Always have to do a round in recreation. Being a summer nice day, I walked up to recreation. I think I actually walked a lap around the track. Based on my job, a lot of these guys don't run up and talk to me or nothing. So I walked a lap around the track by myself. And as I was coming around the side of the track, I noticed a bunch of inmates over by the fence where they exit the yard. I noticed Inmate King on the other side of that fence holding his trash bag. Part of his job duties is not to be up there talking to other inmates, not to be up there trying to exchange items with them. And at the time, in July of 2024, we had what we called a tune problem. And one of the major transportations of tune was what they would do is they would use people like in Mr. King's job to transport it to other areas of the prison. Now, tune is a drug. Tune is a piece of paper that they try to get sent in that's sprayed with an intoxicating substance. Inmates try to smoke it and get high off of it. It can be sprayed with bug spray, it can spray with synthetics, and they would sneak it in through their mail or legal mail and things of that nature. Now, we've changed things since then, so we've attacked that thing, but at that time frame, it was well known that inmates would pass that through their jobs. And so when I seen that, I said, hey, break it up, break it up, break it up. Inmate King was moving kind of slow. The other inmates moved away from him. And as I exit the gate, he turned around and looked at me and started to walk the other way when I asked him to stop.
Okay. And why did you ask him to stop?
The way he looked at me, I've had interactions with him on the yard before and really didn't. I could tell him to take his earrings out. When he had them on the yard, he took them out. I should have taken them probably, or somebody else, or he would take his necklace off or stuff like that. He would get himself into compliance. This one time when I seen him, he just looked a little different. Plus, I wanted to search his trash bag because I thought he might have been passing that tune through the fence because we was having such a problem with it. So I said, hey, King, come here, and he kept walking real fast away from me toward the chapel area. At that time, Officer Cheek, I think, saw me trying to stop him and intervened with me.
Okay. And at that particular point, he did have earrings in his ears?
Yes, he did.
Okay. All right. What happened then?
I told him, say, hey, man, time to take those earrings out again. I was trying to de-escalate him running from me, leaving the area, trying to have a conversation with him because I believed he was intoxicated through the K2, the tune. I believe I saw his hand go toward his mouth at one time when he was along the fence. I couldn't tell if he swallowed something. So I wanted to kind of engage that conversation with him and de-escalate, just us talking to see what's going on. At that time, I said, hey, King, take your earrings out, because that's something I always said to him. And he started a conversation saying no.
Okay. Have you dealt with inmates before that you believe to be intoxicated?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And what kind of signs was inmate King showing at the time that led you to believe he may have been intoxicated?
Tune, if you can only imagine, the stuff they put on it is very, very, I don't know what it's the wasp spray. It does something to their nerve endings and stuff like that. So they have this angriness to them, for one. Their pupils dilated, and they really just act like they don't hear nothing. They look around. And so he was displaying some of those to me. So that's why I went to talk to him and check that bag of trash.
Does Toon have an odor?
No.
Okay, so not something like alcohol that you could detect a
Right.
smell or an odor.
You just got to
correct?
pay attention to them and look at them and see how they're acting.
Okay. And how long do you say you've been working at the prison?
I've been almost 31 years.
31 years? Okay. All right. So what happened next?
I asked him to take the earrings out. He refused. Officer Cheek came over to assist. When Officer Cheek came out there, Inmate King was yelling back saying, I ain't doing nothing. I can't remember the exact words. I'm not taking them out. You're not messing with me or something like that. I said, hey, man, just take them out. Of course, of all the 30 years of training, policies have changed and everything like that. But I also know to de-escalate the situation, because there's an inmate yard that was behind me. Inmates over there watching. They're going to be released soon, which would be a mass movement through that area. That was probably better just to go ahead and handcuff him and take him to what we call the TPU, Transitional Program Unit, which is the hole or whatever you want to call it. And we'd send him over there to talk to him again, or at least walk him in cuffs to a different area. I was trying to get him out of the area. We was going to have him remove the earrings and take him as contraband. And then we was also going to check his bag for additional drugs or anything that could have been in there.
Prior to this particular date, had you had any difficulties with Inmate King?
Inmate King's going to be, because he's older, he thinks he can talk to you different. He would say certain things to me because I'd make him follow the rules. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. He's going to do the bare minimum. He was not one of the guys that always took an order and went and did it. I believe, at times, Inmate King would end up with contraband because he'd be running contraband through the prison.
Objection. Can we approach, Your Honor?
Ladies and gentlemen, part of what your job is to do is to examine the reasonableness of what everybody was doing in this situation. So part of that is what is going on in Investigator Hall's mind when he's doing the things that he's doing, and part of it is what's going on in Mr. King's mind as he's doing the things that he is doing. So I'm going to allow this testimony again for the same thing that I told you before, for the limited purpose of explaining why Officer or Investigator Hall is doing the things that he is doing. It is not relevant, and you are not to consider whether these things are actually true or not, because it doesn't matter for your purposes whether any of the things that Investigator Hall suspected of Mr. King were actually true or not. That part doesn't matter. You only need to put yourselves in their shoes so that you can evaluate the reasonableness of what everybody's doing under the circumstances. Go ahead, Ms. Trainer.
Thank you, Your Honor. By difficulties, too, I mean, had you had any heated conversations with him? Any physical difficulties with him at any?
No
at any
physical,
point?
no heated. Just he seemed to, if I would say certain things, follow the orders to the minimum. But he was again suspect in my mind in my job duties.
Okay, fair enough. When you find a person, well, let me ask you this. Are there different levels of contraband in the prison?
No. Well, you got minor contraband and major contraband.
Okay.
There we go.
Minor and major.
Minor and
right?
major, correct.
Okay. Would, earrings, for example, would that be a major or a
Minor.
minor contraband?
That would be minor.
That would
Major would be
minor.
like
And
prison
then
hooch,
me looking
right?
for drugs would be the major.
And drugs would be a major one. Okay.
Correct.
So do you have, is there any level of discretion or choice on an officer in the prison when they discover someone with minor contraband?
No. Minor contraband should always be taken according to policy. As a supervisor myself, if a correction officer, if he walked past a correction officer with earrings in, and that correction officer didn't do nothing, and I had to correct the correction officer, hey, he's violating that rule. My job is to teach that correction officer or do what I'm supposed to do as a supervisor of the institution.
Okay. So what is that correction officer supposed to do?
The correction officer is supposed to make sure that all inmates remain in compliance with the rules.
Okay, and how do they do that?
They enforce them. Correction officers go to training every year. We all go the same amount of in-service training once a year. We're required to read policies and procedures, so they know certain things. If Inmate King walked past one, I'd tell the officer, hey man, he's got earrings in, they might not have known, he's not supposed to have them, go have him take them out. So me training them through the years too. I mean, there's a lot of rules, as you can think, it's not something you learn overnight.
Okay. What's a ticket?
A ticket is a conduct report. Basically, it's just like a speeding ticket. What it is we write a conduct report for them violating a rule. That rule violation, depending on what it is, will go to their unit sergeant first. If it's a major violation, which a major contraband, say drugs or something like that, then it goes to what we call Rule Infractions Board, which is a 3-member panel, and they listen to his case where he has a chance to defend himself and ask other people questions.
Okay. Is a ticket supposed to be issued for minor contraband?
Yes,
Okay. Is a ticket always issued for minor contraband?
it should be,
Should be, okay. On the level of a correction officer,
and it should be. Sometimes it's probably not, but they probably just take it from them
okay?
and get rid of it. But those days are kind of over with. You know, when I say I started 30 years ago, those things probably happened a lot where the inmate would rather you just get rid of their contraband and write them a ticket, so they didn't lose their recreation privileges, their tablet privileges and things of that nature. Anymore, we steer away from that method of discipline. It used to be, inmates say, hey, don't write me a ticket, take my contraband, I'm gonna tell you where drugs are. That used to be different, different things like that, but those days are over with.
Okay. Was it your intent that day to write Mr. King a ticket for
Yes.
his earrings?
Yes.
Okay. You had said previously, though, there have been times where you told him to take them out, right?
Take them out and get rid of them. I
Yeah,
was
get
trying
rid
to
of
be, yeah, get rid of them, give them a chance, get rid of them.
Okay, so fair to say there have been times in the past where you did not write him a ticket for that?
That's correct.
Okay. Why?
Just my way of doing things as an investigator sometimes is maybe if I show an inmate that I'm not gonna write you a ticket for it, maybe he'd build trust in me, and based on my job and intel and him working that yard, he'll tell me where the drugs are coming in and out. I'm looking for an informant.
Okay. All right, so this day, he was not gonna take out his earrings, correct?
He said he was not, and he had appearance of an intoxication probability.
Okay, so what was your next step?
Since I wanted to get him out of the area, I told him to turn around. He wouldn't turn around for the longest. And then Officer Cheek came in, and between me and Officer Cheek, told him to turn around, be cuffed, be cuffed. Eventually he said, all right, I'll turn around. And he turned around. Then as he was turning around, Officer Cheek came to this side in case he did anything else. There was no, according to policy, there's no pre-assault indicators at the time. It's like he was giving up. I had my handcuffs out. After he said it, he gave up. So I had my handcuff open and as I was getting ready to put it on there, it was actually the fastest swing I've been involved with. And next thing I know, I was bounced back 5-6 foot.
All right. What would have been, you used the term pre-assault indicators. All right, and Mr. King was not exhibiting any of those?
No, and pre-assault indicator on some of those would be, he gave up to be handcuffed, he put both hands behind his back. He wasn't trying to step away from me, he wasn't trying to pull his arms. Sometimes they try to pull their arms. He had given up on the chance of saying, I'm not going to do it, yelling at us and things of that nature. So the pre-assault indicators is like, we had de-escalated the situation down where he agreed to be handcuffed.
Okay. Did he have a trash bag in his hand?
Yes.
What did he do with the trash bag?
We ended up putting it on the ground. He dropped it on the ground in front of him, I believe.
Okay.
What did
Was
you
that
do?
something else you were
What did you
looking
do with the trash
at
bag?
in determining whether he was going to comply with your orders?
Yes, the plan of action would have been to handcuff him, get the bag, and go through the bag and look for drugs that I thought he was passing off to other people.
Did you look through the bag?
That was the main intent of going over there, because I seen the inmates gathered. And again, like I said, we had a problem with drug overdoses going on.
Okay. All right. Obviously, that's not what happened.
No.
So he described the hit. Where did he hit you, and how did he hit you?
He hit me in the left eye, and I had the handcuffs went flying in the air when he hit me. My reading glasses came off my head, and it was hard enough to punch my contact out. I went back 5-6 foot. I didn't fall on my back, but I was standing there. I knew something had happened, but I didn't know where I was. I don't know how to explain it. It's the first time I ever been hit like that. As I tell everybody, it took me 29 years to be assaulted, so I must be a fair guy most of the time. He hit me and it bounced me back.
His character witness
Couldn't really
shouldn't be
see,
allowed to
but I
testify
heard
about
Cheek
himself.
over there struggling with King, saying, "Give me your hands, give me your hands." I pulled my mace can out, my OC spray, and I went running towards there with one eye open.
Okay. And when you got back to him and Cheek, what did you do?
I immediately reached down and I started spraying. I actually think I sprayed Cheek,
Okay.
because Officer Cheek was pretty intoxicated with the OC fumes there, so I was able to back out of there. I was probably doing more damage than helping.
Okay. That was my next question. Is did the OC spray take effect on Mr. King?
Oh, I don't know if it hit him, because at that time, Officer Ezraroth started coming in on the scene, and I couldn't tell who was spraying, because I think
blows.
Officer Cheek might have sprayed once before I was able to get back up there, but I couldn't tell.
Okay.
Because I had mace on me too from somebody. I don't know, it could have been my own.
Okay. So were you being affected by the spray as well?
Yes.
Okay. So plus the hit to the eye.
Correct.
All right. Let's back up just a little bit. When Officer Cheek first came out and approached, what was he doing?
Officer Cheek came out. He saw me having a problem with King, or King was yelling at me. King was wanting to argue, and that's another reason I thought he was intoxicated. He was wanting to argue with me. Most inmates don't argue with me. It's just how it is. But he was arguing with me, so Cheek came out, and as he came out, he held up his OC can because it did look like a pre-assault indicator. The inmate was refusing orders. He was turning around. He was
How can you
moving.
testify to
There's
what
a lot of
Cheek
pre-assault
did,
indicators. So
why he did it?
I believe, as a supervisor, what Cheek did was come out to assist me and help de-escalate the situation too, but was prepared for an assault at the same time.
Okay. And at that point, did Officer Cheek deploy his OC spray?
No.
How do you know?
If he would have sprayed, you would have seen on camera, for one, you would have seen a poof. You would have seen inmate King's head move. I would have smelt it, because I don't like the stuff. I tell you that it's bad. And I wouldn't have stood there any longer myself. And also, a use of force would have happened at that time to restrain the inmate. Once he would have sprayed him, both of us would have immediately tried to handcuff him. So we de-escalated that, and Officer Cheek brought his mace down.
Okay. Because you thought he was going to comply at that point.
Yeah, the pre-assault indicators went away.
Okay. All right. So how ultimately, if you know, was Mr. King able to be restrained?
If I remember, once Cheek and Azaroth was on the ground, there was other people that responded, maybe a lieutenant. And I do remember somebody, I couldn't tell you who put the handcuffs on him. I don't remember seeing it or anything, but I could hear the lieutenant say, "Okay, everybody stop, get up." And to me, usually when a lieutenant comes in, I remember this from my days as lieutenant, when you come into a situation like that, that's what you tell the officers once the handcuffs go on.
Okay. All right. So once everything kind of settled down, what did you do?
Once everything settled down, they took the inmate away. another lieutenant came up to me and said, man, you kind of got hurt. My eye poofed up real big. It was shut. They put me in a golf cart and took me to medical to see the nurse.
All right, and I'm gonna put what I marked
get
as
to see
State's
the
Exhibit 3A up there. What
Yeah,
are we looking at there?
he got a shiner
That's
there.
the eye he hit on me. That was one hit, and the lieutenant that was taking me to medical took my picture real quick.
Okay, so this was still out in the yard where it happened?
Yeah, that building right behind there is the chapel.
Okay. And
That's
at
the
this
steeple
point,
of
looks
the
like your
chapel
eye's
right there.
pretty swollen there, right?
Yes.
Okay, and what happened after you went to medical?
They sent me to Atrium Medical Center.
All right. And what happened at Atrium?
While at Atrium, they examined my eye. Of course, they looked for that contact that got pushed out somewhere. It wasn't in my eye. Sent me through a CAT scan and diagnosed me with a broken orbital, and then recommended, take painkillers or whatever. Recommended I see an eye doctor, and then immediately see an ear, nose, and throat doctor for that injury.
Okay.
That happened on Thursday. By Friday, the fastest eye doctor I could get into was, I was going through the Veterans Administration for my eye care. I went up to VA Dayton, where they also said I had iritis also of the eye, which is some medical term about the formation of my eye and the eye pressures.
Okay. Let's go through some more pictures here. This is State's Exhibit 3B. Where was this taken?
That's in Atrium Hospital by the trooper, I would say.
Okay. And just a little bit closer view of your eye there, 3C.
Same thing at Atrium.
And 3D is a kind of a straight-on shot there, right?
Yes.
How long was your eye looking like that, swollen and?
It looked like
black eye?
swollen for a good 2 weeks until that was where blood circulates down there. Then it went black all the way around. And then the pain would have been right underneath the eyeball.
Okay. And did this affect your vision at all?
Yes, at the time.
Okay. How so?
Blurry vision, like sparkling and stuff. It took a while to go away. I had to take steroid eye drops to get the iritis under control.
Saw stars and unicorns.
Then also, like I said, the bone was just soggy, I guess you'd say. It felt like soggy. This is the easy way to say it.
Mushy.
Okay.
Mushy.
How long did your vision stay impaired?
A good 3 weeks.
Okay. And how about the broken orbital? Did you have to have any surgical procedures or anything to heal that?
No surgery. All they did was told me not to get hit there again. Next time I would have to have surgery. And then due to the eye exam and the stuff, I had to go back a couple times to make sure the little floaties were going in there. And the chances, I got to go twice a year and get the pressure testing because the chances of glaucoma had increased high with that type of injury.
Okay. And is there an end in sight for that, or is that something you're going to have to do forever?
Something I have to do forever.
Okay. And just
That's
so
the
you can
ongoing
identify
damage.
State's Exhibit number 4. Those are your medical records from the Atrium Medical Center, correct?
Yes.
All right. And State's Exhibit number 5, which is a big, thicker packet, is your medical exam or medical records from your ENT visits, correct?
That's correct.
All right. But this is still something that's ongoing, right?
Yes.
Thanks for not showing all the records. I'd have to cut away from it.
Were you off work as a result of this?
I was off work for 3 weeks on oil leave, occupational injury leave.
Okay. And when you returned, did you have any restrictions, light duty, anything like that?
It was more that no restrictions. Again, he just told me not to get hit in the eye, but what I did is I tried to adjust my schedule where I didn't have to go out that much for a couple more weeks.
Okay.
Make sure I didn't have the ADO again or something like that, and maintain my duties in my office.
Okay. All right. Follow up to back to the incident. You said that this happened in an area like the yard area, right? And we've watched several videos. We're going to go through them one more time with you. It doesn't really look like there's any inmates or anything out around when this happens.
That's
Is that a
correct.
fair statement?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can you describe to me where is everybody? Like, why is it only the three of you at that particular point?
What's going on at that time frame is the rec yard, there was inmate housing unit in the rec yard, and they were also to the left of this, where the scene of the incident occurred, would have been where the food service department is. And probably, I would say what was happening around that time frame, the yard would look empty because they were locking food service down and getting ready to release recreation back to their housing units. During mass movement, you don't want to let all that going on because we try not to let the housing units mingle.
Okay,
So that time frame just was, and he was allowed to be out during any of that because he was the trash pickup porter, or
Okay.
whatever they call it, yard porter. Every now and then, if an inmate has a pass, he can go out in the yard, but you won't see mass movements as very well, we tell them when they can move.
okay, but he had special privileges to be kind
That's
of
correct.
out and about in the area. Okay. And what we're gonna do, you've seen the videos surrounding the incident, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and we're gonna just go through states number 6, I believe it is, make sure, which is the surveillance video of the yard, right? Yeah, thank you. All right, I'm gonna back this up a little bit, and if you could kind of tell us what's happening here.
Okay, this is, it's a recording from the 2 Alpha front walkway, zoomed in.
Okay, and what's the camera situation around this particular area? of the
In that area, being on the yard, is 2 Alpha walkway. There's a camera in front of every block that points out to the yard. Then there's also what they call PTZ cameras out in different buildings, but they're automatically, I believe that I see one straight ahead right there, right there. I believe that's a
There.
camera, but they usually point that at the recreation gate, especially when mass movement's getting ready to happen, which is the closing of that yard. So we see those guys coming off that yard, and if there's any other problems.
Okay, and you said mass movement was getting ready to happen in this.
It should have been
particular
happening probably within the next 3 to 4 minutes around that incident, because Officer Ezraroth, I can tell you, I was talking to him when I was doing my rounds, and as we was walking off, he let me through the gate, and he left it open because he said mass movement's getting ready to happen.
Okay, and part of your job as an investigator at the prison, you have access to these cameras?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're familiar with how they work, what kind of angles they're pointed at,
Yes.
that kind of thing? Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and play this. And
That was the time I got hit.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna try to slow this down a little bit, if we can.
It's really slow.
Mr. Hall, there's an X there that will take away that blue arrow.
Yes.
Please press the X. Oh, no, now you've made another one.
See it on X?
Now we have
Actually,
three.
I don't think there is an X, Judge, unlike your courtroom.
This is-
Just push right above here, it'll clear.
Oh, yeah, there's none down there.
There, yeah.
My bad.
All right, so at the very beginning of this, we've got you and the defendant, obviously, and Officer Cheek. How long do you think that you had been interacting with the defendant before Officer Cheek came out?
Probably 30 seconds, if that.
Okay,
I
not
mean,
long?
Not long at all, because I was trying to get to him because he was walking away.
Okay. All right. And I've slowed this down, so.
Mace comes down from Officer Cheek. Officer
can
Cheek
This is
Check
goes
just
around.
us de-escalating him a little bit, like, hey, we're just one. But I went to the earrings because,
Goes around.
go back here,
Goes
but
to-
see, I
boom, bam,
I
throws-
reached for his hand, that's when he hit me,
Okay.
on that video, yes.
And why were you reaching for his hand?
Because he gave up, and he gave me the impression that he was giving up to be handcuffed.
To be handcuffed. All right.
Here goes the body slam.
And
Their arms are wrapped around.
if he had complied
Oh, keep showing. Keep it.
and agreed to be handcuffed, what would you have done at that point?
At that point, I would have put my handcuffs.
Overruled.
I would have put my handcuffs on him. Our handcuffs are
It's
marked.
a hypothetical.
Mine says investigator on them. I would have called for an officer or supervisor since, to de-escalate it even more, I would not have walked into isolation. I would have had one of them take him to isolation. And they would have addressed the issue that I had with him. At that time, I would have searched that bag. My goal was that bag.
Okay.
That was my goal.
All right. And you've had the opportunity to review Officer Cheek's body cam as well,
Yes, ma'am.
which I think captures part of your interaction with him.
Yes.
Turn around. King, turn around now. Final directive to turn around or I will spray you.
No, they sprayed nobody.
Turn around and cuff up.
Cuff up or what?
What was your order? Turn around.
You said give you the ear.
Okay, turn around and cuff up. Turn around now.
Nice.
I will spray you.
I'm asking you nice.
I'm gonna ask you nicely to turn around. Are you gonna do it or not?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Then turn around. Drop the trash.
Drop the trash.
All right. And obviously, that's reflective of when you made the move to put the handcuffs on, correct?
Correct.
That's when we started
All right.
issuing physical
Now,
directives
after
to gain
this
compliance.
incident, did you fill out a use of force form?
When I returned from the hospital, yes.
Okay, that was my question. Was this a pre-hospital visit, post-hospital visit? Tell me the timeline of that.
I went to the hospital. They told me I'd be off work for a while, and I knew from being in the career so long that I needed to finish all necessary paperwork prior to leaving.
Okay, so did you go back to the prison straight from Atrium?
Yes, I went back to my office and I typed the statements. I went to the shift captain or shift lieutenant. Can't remember which one was putting what they called a use of force packet together, and made sure that they had my paperwork so they could finish their packet.
Okay, what's the purpose of a use of force packet?
That's to combine everything from a particular use of force. And when they put it at, they combine all the documentation, all the people that's involved, if you witnessed it, if you was part of it. And then that goes in a packet. The major and the deputy warden of operations reviews the packets, okay, and make sure there's what's going on. And then the warden will review the packet, who determines at that time if it goes to a use of force committee or not.
Okay, and prior to filling out your use of force report, did you watch any of these videos?
I did not.
Okay. Were you required to talk to anybody about the use of force investigation?
Upon my return to work, I was told that the warden had made the decision to send it to committee, and there was a captain, I can't remember his name, from Dayton Correctional that came down, and the warden sent it out basically, since it's my position, sent it out, and he came down and made a decision also.
Okay, so this captain from Dayton was an independent investigator?
Yes,
Okay, and you said that's because of your position as an investigator in the prison?
that's correct.
All right, 'cause
Being
you-
on executive staff, he's go to the wardens, if a correction officer goes, it's somebody like me that would do the use of force. But being where I was at, somebody else had to do it. That
Okay.
would have been higher than me.
And you have a counterpart that works there at the prison with you, correct?
Yes, I have a partner.
And who is that?
That's Kevin Chamberlain.
Okay, and would it have been appropriate for Kevin Chamberlain to do the investigation as
no.
well? Okay. When an inmate gets injured at the prison, whether it's a result of an incident with staff or another inmate, is there a procedure or protocol as to where they are sent if they need medical treatment?
The first place it goes, our medical department. Our medical department is staffed with doctor, nurse practitioner, nurses, RN nurses, and LPNs. If they make the decision that inmate has an injury, just like myself, staff member had an injury, and they cannot help him there, they will send him, if it's an emergency care situation, they'll send him to Atrium. If it's something that's kind of like emergency, like urgent care type of care, they'll send them to the Ohio State University Hospital in Columbus.
Okay, and is that a policy that's in place with all the prisons in
Yes.
Ohio?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, one central location for everybody regardless of where the prison is located, is that fair?
That's fair unless it's a life or death situation. then
Oh,
they go to local.
obviously, if it's a life or
Yeah.
death situation, they're gonna go to the closest one, right?
Correct.
But no life or death situation, everybody goes to OSU.
Correct.
Regardless of the gravity of the injury, correct?
That's correct. And the doctor on premises makes that call.
Okay, the doctor at the prison?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, Investigator Hall, do you see the person we've been speaking about, Mr. King, in the courtroom today?
We'll stipulate.
Noted, thank you.
Thank you. No further questions for you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break for the evening. So remember what I have already told you. You are not to begin thinking about this case, discussing the case amongst yourselves, or thinking about how it should be decided. I don't want you to do any research at home, no Google searches, no artificial intelligence. Just forget about this case until you come back
It's the first
tomorrow.
one I've heard add that.
A word of
AI.
caution, when you get home, whoever you see, your significant other, kids, neighbors, whatever, they're going to want to know about today.
Those
And it
neighbors'
has been my
kids, so
experience
curious.
that anything that you tell them other than I was selected for jury duty and I will tell you all about it when it's over, anything that you say other than that's going to get you in trouble. Say, what kind of case was it? And, what about this and this? And you end up discussing the case with your family member, whoever it is. And we spent a lot of time picking you. We didn't pick all these other people. So just say, Judge Oda Zamini, he's not going to let me talk about the case until it's over. Just say that, and then you can bring him up to speed when it's over. We are going to start tomorrow morning at 8:45, right where we left off. So go straight to the jury room. Hopefully, we will have all of the technical situations fixed by then so that we are back on my home field. I don't like having an away game here. So hopefully we'll be back where we belong. Sometimes there's this tendency when you're in the jury room, because you don't really have much else in common, to talk about the trial or anything about.
Maybe.
Don't begin discussing the case. No little mini jury while we're waiting to get started. Don't be that one person that we're all waiting for tomorrow. Did we collect contact information? And make sure that you take Ms. Carrilco's contact information so we know if something comes up. All right. See you tomorrow, 8:45.
All right, jury's headed out. The state's pretty much done with their case there. We're just waiting for cross-examination. Then tomorrow there will be defense case. Tomorrow we start the au pair case. I might see if I can run this on Top Mark Media for those that want to follow.
Mr. Hall, you can step down. We are on the record outside the presence of the jury. Mr. Engel, we made some objections during the course of Investigator Hall's testimony regarding his interactions, his beliefs, his suspicions about the defendant. Is there anything that you would like to place of record regarding that?
Yeah, we would ask the court to strike his testimony on that. I think I understand the court's limiting instruction about focusing on what's in his mind, but I think some of the testimony went beyond that and went into saying that Mr. King was someone who actually had a history of smuggling drugs in, and there's no evidence of that. He's never been charged with any crime of that sort, and I feel that was certainly unduly prejudicial.
Okay.
Okay.
8:45 tomorrow. We're going to finish with Investigator Hall, and then do we have another witness on behalf of the state tomorrow?
Yes, Your Honor. One, perhaps two, depending on Sergeant Clance's.
Health.
Okay, what are we doing about our sick witness?
It's Sergeant Klotz.
Yeah, it is Sergeant Clance.
I'm hoping he's going to be here. Do we have an update on
I
his...
have been a little busy, so I have not been able to contact him.
So he is a witness that the defense wants to present also, right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right.
I don't necessarily need to present him. I know Mr. Engel has issued a subpoena for him and perhaps wishes to call him, but
Tell him to be here or make arrangements for Zoom, one or the other.
Live.
I will reach out to him and
Live
update
from
the court
bed.
and Mr. Engel
Yeah,
From
if
his
this
sick
evening
bed.
via email, if that's okay.
yeah, if it's okay with the court, I'm okay with him testifying by Zoom because I don't want him bringing flu into here. So.
Everybody's got something.
Says the person who doesn't have to sit next to him.
All right. I mean, he's close enough. Hopefully we'll get back into my courtroom where he's a little farther away. All right, I'm gonna bring back the COVID shield.
Since 1986.
Yes.
All right, what else? Anything?
Nothing from the
Don't think
defense,
so.
Your Honor.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow at 8:45.
Thank you.
Okay.
If possible, we want to have Mr. King here by 8:30, if that's possible. That's what's on the transport order, so we should be good there.
Can
All
you
right.
make it about 7:30?